we're talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
That was President Trump on Air Force One before he returned to the White House at about 3 a.m. from his trip to Israel and Egypt to celebrate the release of the last 20 living hostages.
We do expect to get more updates on their health conditions today from local hospitals.
But what about the remains of the 24 hostages not returned yet? Hamas has only handed over 4 bodies so far. Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
This is a grim reality of the horrific October 7th massacre that Hamas may not even know where some of the bodies are. And so we do understand, as part of this agreement that was signed overnight in Egypt, there is an international coalition of teams, not only from Qatar, from Israel, and from other regional countries like Egypt, but many others, to try and build together intelligence information and then possibly even send teams into Gaza to look for where these bodies are located. And so this could be a very long process.
Today would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday, and just over a month after the conservative activist was assassinated, there will be remembrances across the country, and President Trump will award Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. For a 14th day, much of the government is shut down. The Senate plans another funding vote trying to end a stalemate.
Most federal workers are not getting paid while the government shutdown continues, but Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says her department has found an innovative way to pay Coast Guard service members. DHS, which oversees the Coast Guard, has not explained where the funding would come from. The White House Office of Management and Budget says it plans to use research and development funds to pay military service members.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. A woman's been found dead in western Alaska after the remnants of a typhoon rained down and caused flooding. 51 other people needed to be rescued in a few villages. America's listening to Fox News.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
President Trump is getting a lot of credit for brokering the ceasefire in Gaza that led to the final hostage release, including from some Democrats like former President Clinton. And last night, flying back to the U.S. on Air Force One, the president said,
I've always liked him. I thought it was very nice, actually. And what is he doing? He's telling the truth. Because nobody else has been able to do it.
Former President Biden and Vice President Harris both commending President Trump for the Gaza peace plan, with President Biden saying, the road to this deal was not easy. My administration worked relentlessly to bring hostages home, get relief to Palestinian civilians, and end the war. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer also giving the president credit while acknowledging the, quote, enormous advocacy of the tireless hostage families. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Meta, Instagram's parent company, is unveiling a new rating system to help parents with controls on their teenage children's account. Meanwhile, there's a new law in California also trying to protect teens on social media.
Tech platforms are required to remind users when they're interacting with an artificial intelligence chatbot and not a human. For minors, that pop-up notification would be every 3 hours. Companies also have to have a protocol for preventing self-harm and to refer users who express suicidal ideation to crisis services. The Democratic governor says emerging technology can inspire, educate, and connect, but can also exploit, mislead, and endanger kids without real guardrails. Some tech giants have already announced new safety protocols as OpenAI and Character.ai are being sued by parents who blame their teens' suicide deaths on chatbot interactions. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
On Wall Street, a return to selling is looming. Dow futures are down more than 400 points. In the baseball playoffs, the defending champion LA Dodgers won the National League Championship Series opener, beating Milwaukee 2-1. Seattle topped Toronto 10-3 to go up 2-0 in the ALCS. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Checking traffic this morning. Hello, Matt Bear.
Hello, Jarrett. Looking at westbound 70 approaching the north split. 3 left lanes are blocked because of a spilled load from a semi. Train tires on the interstate weighed about 2,000 pounds each. Stop back to Arlington Avenue, now a little bit beyond a 33-minute delay. I'd use Washington Street instead. Traffic sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. That's 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Do you suffer from sore feet, back, knee, or hip pain? The Good Feet Arch Support System has helped many people find relief, like Tim.
I'm always telling my colleagues who have sore feet, this is the greatest thing. I'll even take my shoe off and show them. And I believe in the product so much. When you have something that works, you kind of want to share it with people. It worked for me, maybe it can work for you.
Or do you wake up at night with heel pain, like Crystal?
I would wake up in the middle of the night with all kinds of pain in my heels and in my arch. So I went to the Good Feet store. And ever since then, I've been pain-free. I wear them every day. I wear them when I walk, at the gym, when I work. They're great.
Get back to walking, working, and exercising, and imagine a life without pain. No shots, no surgery, no medication. You've got nothing to lose but your pain. Stop into the Good Feet store today for a free fitting and test walk. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood, just off the 65.
Thanks to the Good Feet store. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Oh, boy, do we have a show for you today. 93 WIBC. It's a Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's still on afternoon duty. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday night on the Circle in for Casey. Lots to get to today. Coming up at 9:30, Nathan Gotch with Independent Indiana is going to be with us. They did that big poll on redistricting, and they also have some new poll numbers to reveal on our show, which are fascinating, about Governor Braun and the Secretary of State, Diego Morales. That's coming up at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, Jim Love, friend of the show, farmer, Boone County, from the Boone County Preservation Group, going to be with us. He had a very interesting article, opinion piece in the Indiana Capital Chronicle about the IEDC. Those guys out there in Boone County have been on the IEDC and that LEAP district for years. He'll be with us at 10. And then at 11, Josh Bain, member of the Indianapolis City County Council, will be with us to talk about that huge expose yesterday in Indy Star, Mirror Indy, about Thomas Carl Cook, the right-hand man for years to Joe Hogsett, his lover who was working in the Indianapolis city government under Hogsett, and all the money that apparently went to his clients after he left city government and went to a major law firm in the city of Indianapolis. And then, Ethan, to wrap up the show, we have a huge surprise for everyone that people will love. So that's coming up today. But first, we start with the big announcement yesterday. Trump in the Middle East. This is Peace in the Middle East version 9.0 or 10.0 or whatever number we're on now. Ceasefire agreement starting to be put into place. Hostages, the Israeli hostages returned from the Palestinians, Hamas, who had taken them hostage. And obviously before we get to this audio here, it really did appear this time that it was a joint effort. You had Egypt involved, a whole bunch of different countries. The question is, though, haven't we heard this before? Will it last?
Well, of course it's not going to last. Do I think that Donald Trump can solve thousands of years of religious conflict, of ethnic conflict, of mythological, historical storytelling about these people's histories and backgrounds in the region that ties them and invests such an emotion in the conflict? No, I don't think that Donald Trump can solve that, not on any level of permanent basis. But do I think that Donald Trump can at least temporarily bring about a state of peace? Sure. And I think part of that is because the region of Gaza's resources have been stretched so thin at this point. Israel has pounded them. They have decimated the region. It's basically the size of a postage stamp anyway, barely the land area of Indianapolis, if memory serves. How much longer can these people possibly going? They can't have rockets and missiles stored underground in enough quantity to keep the conflict going. So it just out of logistical necessity, it's going to have to come to an end, and it appears we've reached that point.
Yeah, because Hamas, basically a proxy of Iran. Iran's been hurt. You've got, as you said, years of Israel doing immense damage to these people. But the thing you're up against is unlike, say, Saudi Arabia, which has a vested personal interest in being accepted by the West, adopting somewhat into decent society, being able to make money, you're dealing with a lot of ideological lunatics when you're talking about the Hamas people. And I just don't. I want it to happen. I want there to be peace. I want there to be, development out there. I want everybody to get along. I think that'd be phenomenal. I just think when you've got years and years and years of history based around a fanatical belief system, it almost seems like they go back, they relaunch, they reload, and then they come back and you go, well, hey, didn't 2 years ago we all agree we're going to get along and play nice with each other?
But I think you hit on exactly the nail on the head. The great equalizer here is economic freedom. If we can transition this out of, a fanatical region that is tied to religious fanaticism and radical Islam, and then move them to a commercial economy, look, that's what's ultimately brought us closer relations with China over the years, is the fact that they have had to drift away from hardcore communism in order to have a functional state and adopt some principles of capitalism. It's the great equalizer, capitalism.
All right, so a couple pieces of audio here. Here is Trump saying he thinks he can unite the Middle East.
But the momentous breakthrough that we're here to celebrate tonight is more than the end of the war in Gaza. It's with God's help. It'll be the new beginning for an entire beautiful Middle East. From this moment forward, we can build a region that's strong and stable and prosperous and united in rejecting the path of terror once and for all. We want to get rid of the terror and get on to other things. There are many other things in life that are so good.
And look, in his mind, and he's right, of course, but I don't think he understands. I'm sure he does understand, but sometimes when he gives these speeches, it's like, do you know who you're dealing with? Like, there is nothing else for them to get onto. This is the thing.
Sure, but would it even matter, Rob? Because this is how Donald Trump speaks in superlatives about everything. He exudes this level of confidence and he oversells. And the way he's talking about Middle East peace is the same way he talks about his newest construction project. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, why aren't you guys getting along? This is stupid.
It's the biggest, it's the most beautiful, it's the grandest peace deal you've ever seen.
Have I told you about Tad? All right. Here's another clip of Trump. So Fox News caught up with him. And I hope Trump is feeling okay, because I was pleasantly surprised to see all the credit he was giving to other people who made this possible.
Well, we had a lot of great success and a lot of great countries that wanted this to happen. Countries that you wouldn't think. Qatar was fantastic. Saudi Arabia was fantastic. UAE was fantastic. Jordan, the King Abdullah he just couldn't have been nicer. I call him general, but president, you can call him whatever you want. But El-Sisi, strong, tough, like an unbelievable guy. They all wanted to see this happen. That's the amazing thing. Everybody came together at this point. If you go back 6 months or 7 months, you would have said a thing like this is impossible. I mean, we have 35 different countries over there, all there just about all with their leaders, not just, sending somebody over. And they all wanted this to happen. And I think I had a big impact. But, I can have a big impact. If they don't want it to happen, it's not going to happen. They all wanted this to happen. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
I hope he's right. I don't in any way want to be a Debbie Downer. It was a great day. I'm so glad those people that were still alive were able to get back and reunited with their families.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. But if you can't parlay that into sustainable peace in the region, I just don't know, at what point do you just throw your hands up and go, we're done here, right? I mean, how long has the United States been trying to broker peace among these people? And I don't think when you're so ideologically driven that you're ever going to be able to do that.
No, I agree completely, but you got to take your wins where you can, and the fact that, at least for the time being, there's not mass carnage and loss of life, I think is something that we can all rejoice in.
Okay, real quick, I know this has made the rounds, but this is great. So those sea hags on The View, as usual, this was maybe January, this was taking place. They were spouting, obviously do every day, about what a horrible person Trump is, and how rotten Trump is, and blah, blah, blah. And one of these chicks, like, I got to freely admit, I don't follow The View, but I know they kind of have sort of a core of people, but then they rotate different people, whatever. Anyway, Alyssa Farah, she's one of the people on The View, and this was her in January doubting Trump's ability to get done what he has now gotten done. And I have no doubt, after you hear this audio, she'll be paying up on her obligation.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you
Please
for
don't do
doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
She'll knock it right off my head. But
Please
like
don't do that.
you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing.
Well,
Okay, we'll see, right? Seems like he held up his end of the deal here. Now it's her turn.
Hey, she got off easy because at least she said she'd only wear the hat, not eat the hat.
All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got some audio. The government shutdown. I don't even know what day we're on anymore. I've lost track of the count. 14.
14.
Is it 14?
Yeah.
Very good. We're on day 14 of the government shutdown. Everybody's getting mouthy. We'll talk about it when we come back. It's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
America has a new favorite beer. It's Mick Ultra. If you remember, Modelo was the #1 beer in America. They're blaming Trump. The Trump administration's immigration policies have affected its sales.
Come on.
At least Cracker Barrel came out and said, hey, we screwed up. We're going to go back to the way things were. Bud Light never did.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on 2025 Lincoln Corsair, Nautilus, or Aviator. Plus get a $1,000 Tom Roush Trade Assist bonus. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Subject to credit approval. Not all buyers will qualify. See dealer for complete offer details. Offer ends 10/31/2025.
Enough is enough. Governor Braun said he would listen to Hoosiers and stand up to Washington's plans to rig our maps. But now, those Washington insiders are coming to Indiana to finish the job. Unless we can stop them, we want our votes to count, our voices to be heard, and for lawmakers and Governor Braun to focus on issues that matter to us. Utility bills, inflation, taxes. Keep standing strong against redistricting at playfairindiana.com. Paid for by Indiana Conservation Voters.
Neighborhoods are popping up everywhere, but if you want something different than what you're currently seeing, Joyner Homes, based out of Greenfield, can build you a unique custom home on your own private lot or anywhere you can bring your own builder. They've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. Visit Joyner Homes Model Homes or go to joynerhomes.com to see floor plans and pricing and more. With Joyner Homes, you can even start from scratch if you want. Check out their 5-star Google reviews and visit joynerhomes.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob for my friend Mark Dietel. And, you know, we talk a lot about the great work that Mark Dietel does. One of the great Hoosiers who's ever lived. And right now, Mark Dietel wants you to know this. Zillow ranks Indianapolis #2 among 2025's hottest markets. Home values have risen and are holding strong. Now is a great time to sell. Hire the team with proven systems to maximize your equity. Sell your home with Mark Dietel. Maybe you want a fast, guaranteed, no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Dan and Casey in Indianapolis had to say about working with Mark Dietel. It was time to downsize, and we needed to sell our old house quickly at full value. Mark Dietel made it happen. We got our asking price in a few weeks without any repairs or an appraisal. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Energy slipping? Losing your edge? It could be low T. Take action. Synergen X and Low T Center offer a quick free T test.
Get pharmaceutical-grade testosterone, never compounded, personalized by experts just for you. Most insurance covers it. The best you is waiting. TRTMVP.com.
Some people call me the space cowboy.
So the shutdown, did we decide it's day 14?
Yes, day 14 because it began at the beginning of October, so it's easy to keep track of.
Ah, very good. Thank you. All right, we got some audio of that coming up here in just a moment. We do have a big programming announcement. Friday, Bo Bai will be here. And
it's going to be a fascinating conversation.
Well, let's face it. I mean, he's running for Secretary of State as a Democrat. Bo Bai, the son of former Governor and Senator Evan Bai and grandson of Birch Bai, running for Secretary of State. And he's a smart guy. He knows if he wins our audience, he'll be Secretary of State. I mean, we've done the math on it, and basically it's 125,000 votes that got to get flipped. And he knows that he's going to have to answer some hard questions. But if he wins people over, then he'll win. So a smart guy.
I think it's also going to be a fascinating insight into the style of his campaign, depending on his messaging and what issues he chooses to get into during his time here.
Yeah, and, he knows what he's getting into. He knows we load Diego Morales, but he also knows we're not going to let him bull crap us. And so, he's got to convince people that he will be different than the Democrat Party. That's what he's got to do. He's got to acknowledge, hey, there's a bunch of crazy people in my party, and I reject those people. But I also, while also pointing out, hey, Diego Morales is totally unethical. He's corrupt. He's a dirty, rotten individual, and we can do better than this guy. And that's the needle he's going to have to thread, and he's going to have to convince people to listen to this program that they can trust him and vote for him, and that he'll, in many ways, work with the Republicans.
So, in essence, he's got to do the thing that we were talking about yesterday regarding the Democrat Party as a whole. He just has to be normal.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So that's coming up on Friday. I want to get that out of the way. All right, so Hakeem Jeffries, he is the Democrat leader in the House, and he, of course, is offering no help to the Republicans. Not that they needed it. The House has passed a budget or an extension of the funding of the government. I guess they never really actually pass a budget, just continuing to do the thing they've been doing. And he's been very mouthy out there on the internet, on the television. And he was on, I think this was MSNBC, that he was on. And he said he's not meeting with Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, because Donald Trump hasn't given Johnson permission.
Have you met with Speaker Mike Johnson?
No, Speaker Mike Johnson and I have not met.
Why
They've
not? made
the decision. Donald Trump has not given them permission to meet, Katie. And we know that until Donald Trump gives them permission to meet, they're going to continue to hide as it relates to sitting down and negotiating a bipartisan agreement.
What?
Okay. So help me out with this, Ethan. In fairness to this guy, and I know what he is, but in fairness to him, the House has already passed a budget. What is he going to do with Johnson? I mean, they've already done their part. Now, I don't agree with the budget they passed,
right,
or the spending extension that they passed, but they've already done it. There really isn't much of a need for him to meet with Johnson because the House has already drawn their line in the sand.
Well, and also, I think the important thing here is that the Democrats are not in a position of negotiating strength. Hakeem Jeffries seems to be in a time warp where he thinks that this is the Obama administration and the Republicans are in the minority party. Bal, that's not how things are playing out.
All right, so Sean Duffy, what is he? He's the transportation secretary, right? Yeah, he's the transportation secretary. He was on Fox Business. And, okay, help me understand this, Ethan, because you're younger than me. What is the no kings? That's people who are the young people who think Donald Trump is acting like a king. Is that it? Is that what No Kings is?
That's what the No Kings rally was. Are they a burgeoning organization? I didn't know that this had turned into a movement. I guess I missed that memo.
Well, there's some big protests coming up. Is it this weekend? There's another round of No Kings protests.
There's going to be
across the country.
look, you might get a decent turnout on the left coast or maybe in places like Massachusetts or New York City.
But they're going on here.
There's going to be like a dozen here. There were like maybe a dozen the last time. Didn't you see pictures that the great indie reporter on Twitter shared when they had a No Kings protest here in front of the State House? It was like maybe a dozen disgruntled leftists. It wasn't a particularly healthy showing.
All right, so Sean Duffy, he's the transportation secretary. He was on Fox Business, and he was talking about the No Kings protest as well as Chuck Schumer.
The No Kings protest, Maria, really frustrating. I mean, this is part of Antifa, paid protesters. It begs the question, who's funding it? But, yeah, Democrats want to wait for a big rally of a No Kings protest when the bottom line is, who's running the show in the Senate? Chuck Schumer's not running the show. The No Kings protesters or organizers are running the show. Is AOC threatening a primary against Chuck Schumer? Is she running the show? But you need a strong leader in the Senate to take control and make decisions. And Chuck Schumer's blown in the breeze. He has no power, no authority, because he's given it up to his primary opponent, potentially in AOC, or to the No Kings protester organizers, and it's shameful.
So it comes back to what we literally just talked about when we started the segment here about a guy like Bo Bai running for Secretary of State. You've got to figure out how to get past these people who keep becoming the face of your party, and they look like complete idiots. They look like totally radical lunatics, which in many cases they are, unserious people, and it appears that much of the Democrat Party is subservient to these types of people. They don't condemn them. They don't tell them to shut up. Look, this is not a fight over someone being a king. Right now, you have a government shutdown because the Democrats won't accept Biden's spending levels. That's it. That's the negotiate. That's where we're at. Full stop. And these people look like insane asylum people, and they are more and more the face of the Democrat Party.
I don't think that this is a resurgence. These are the last dying embers of a leftist movement that has lost the cultural conversation. And these are conversations that we had going back almost 10 years now in 2016 with the outrage that was expressed over Donald Trump becoming president, and a lot of these leftists, you know, operating in this continual state of emotional fervor regarding his presidency. And we asked, like, how long can you keep this up? And the fact is, you can't keep that and maintain that level of outrage forever. They are burning themselves out. They're also living in a time warp, because much like Hakeem Jeffries operating as if this were the Obama administration and Democrats were in the minority, these Democrat agitators are operating as if this was Trump's first term, 2016 to 2020. They're acting like this is the heydays of the BLM era during the summer of love in 2020. And it's just not. They have lost the conversation, especially in a post-Charlie Kirk assassination world. It's just gone. So I'm not worried about these people. These are the last gasps of a dying fire.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Nathan Gotch from Independent Indiana will be with us. They had that big poll that came out late last week about how people were feeling about redistricting, overwhelmingly, again, just like other polls, against it. We'll talk with him about that. Plus, there's a lot more to this poll. The big reveal, they saved it for our show. They went straight to the way to be heard the most. So fascinating numbers on Braun, on Diego Morales, and several other things about Hoosiers, how Hoosiers are feeling about politics and political figures. We'll talk about that with him next. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course, and it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
So, where's the lake?
Not here.
But it says Great Lakes Honda of Fishers.
Right. I just don't see a lake.
Well, who needs a lake when you can lease a 2026 HR-V LX all-wheel drive for $309 a month and 0 down?
That definitely won't soak our bank account.
Oh, it's the old Honda of Fishers.
Great Lakes, great people, great cars.
But no actual lake. Visit our showroom off State Road 37 today. Tax and title fees not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. 10,000 miles a year, not combinable with other offers. Loyalty or conquest rebates may apply. Offer ends October 31st. See dealer for details.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They're back with their friends and family. Sunny skies, 55 this morning in downtown Indianapolis. Your high today, 78. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 9:30. After 738 days in Hamas captivity, all 20 living hostages are back in Israel. While all of the living hostages have been returned, the remains of all 28 deceased hostages still have not. Only 4 of them have been turned over so far. New York's Attorney General addressing crowds on Monday, striking a defiant tone following her federal indictment.
It was New York Attorney General Letitia James's first public appearance since being indicted on federal fraud charges related to her purchase of a home in Virginia. James, a Democrat, took the stage at the rally for New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani amid cheers and applause and warned supporters of those trying to, quote, weaponize justice for political gain.
We are witnessing the fraying of our democracy, the erosion of our system of government.
Last week, James was charged with bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. And actor Alec Baldwin says he's fine after crashing an SUV into a tree in Long Island. He has a home there and was with his brother Steven attending the Hamptons Film Festival. Baldwin said he was cut off by someone driving a garbage truck and had to avoid hitting him. And now your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. Stocks taking some big dips today. The Dow is down 350 points to 46,065. The S&P 500 down 57 points, 6,654. And the NASDAQ in the red, 268 points to 24,750. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Fall is in full swing at Wilson Farm Market. Bright mums, pumpkins, and gourds are waiting to bring color to your porch and table. Enjoy a fresh apple cider slush or Wilson's famous peach cider slush. The taste of fall in every sip. Inside, the ovens are busy with breads, pies, and treats you'll smell the moment you walk in. Hungry yet? Grab some crispy fried chicken or stop by the deli, salad bar, and cheese counter for easy meals to take home. Wilson Farm Market, right off US 31, just north of Westfield. Your fall favorites all in one stop.
Fall in Indiana is prep season, the smart time to get your home ready before the temperatures drop and the snow gets here. Because here's the truth. Roof, siding, gutter, and window problems don't fix themselves. One missing shingle turns into a bad leak. Clogged gutters lead to ice dams. And drafty siding or bad insulation means sky-high heating bills all winter long. That's why you need Moss Roofing. Family owned right here in Indiana for over 30 years, Moss Roofing gives you a free, no-obligation inspection. They'll spot problems now, before the cold settles in, so you're not scrambling in January. And here's a bonus. Thanks to new energy tax credits and Indiana Energy Saver rebates, you could save big on insulation and efficiency upgrades. That's money back in your pocket while protecting your home. So don't wait. Call Moss Roofing today at 317-747-3665. Tell them Tony Cat sent you. 317-747-3665. Moss Roofing, 747-3665, or online at mossroofing.com. Get your home winter ready this fall with people you can trust. mossroofing.com, every shingle time.
So there are new poll numbers out on Braun. Little teaser here. They're bad. There's new poll numbers out on Diego. Little teaser here. They're bad. And that's a win for humanity, Ethan. Let's get to it. It's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday Night on the Circle in for Casey. Nathan Gotch joins us now. He is with Independent Indiana. They have, of course, they had a big reveal late last week about how Hoosiers are feeling about redistricting. There was a lot more to this poll, and you guys said, let's reveal them on Kendall and Casey.
Well, I just, Rob, I know that you like to talk about the governor, you like to talk about the Secretary of State, and we know after this poll how people in the state of Indiana are feeling about those folks.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in just a second. I want to come back to the poll numbers you guys released. What was that, Thursday, I think they came out. By the way, Independent Indiana, we've had you on the program before. You guys are sort of a new upstart organization. You're pretty well funded, you're pretty well organized, and you exist to try to get independent candidates more competitive and elected across the state of Indiana?
We're a nonpartisan nonprofit organization, and we want to let people know that independents are already really successful. 52% of independents won their races across the state the last 2 cycles, so we want to make sure that that's out there so people know that this is a real option, not only for candidates but for voters as well.
All right, so before we get into these numbers, I think this is very important. People see here Independent Indiana. Oh, I bet they use some liberal pollster. No, you guys specifically used a group that makes much of their living off polling for Republicans and Republican causes.
This is a Republican pollster. They do work with Republican committees. And yeah, it was very important to us that if we were going to ask the residents of the state how they feel, that the firm that we used is somebody that has a really good track record and is well respected around the country.
Nathan Gotch is our guest from Independent Indiana. So let's get to the poll numbers on redistricting. Pretty much matches the other poll numbers we have seen, which is there is not support in Indiana for redistricting across the Hoosier state.
Yeah, so we polled registered voters all across the state. 53% of them are against redistricting. Only 34% are supporting it. When you dig into that and ask Republicans, the people who said, hey, I'm a Republican, less than 2/3 of them say that they're in favor of this. 59% say they support it. A quarter of them say, no, we're against redistricting.
Well, and Ethan, I think that's interesting because we took the phone calls yesterday about this. And on our radio station, which I don't think it's any secret, has a conservative tilt to it, it was 50-50 on the it was small sample size, but whatever it was, 8 phone calls.
It was tiny sample size, but yeah, still 50-50, so the numbers bear out. It kind of largely tracks.
Do you guys study this? Do you get any inclination that there's many lawmakers out there? I mean, we know people like Andrew Ireland who've come out and said they're for it, but do even these people who would vote for it, do they really want it? I mean, is there any actual passion in the State House for this?
Look, the dirty little secret about Republican redistricting is if they were to try to draw these maps 9-0, they'd be moving Republican voters from safe seats into those Democratic districts. That starts to lower the margin that you have, and they're going to put other Republican members of the Indiana congressional delegation at risk of losing, or at least make them have to work harder. And so there's not an appetite among Republicans because of that. They also know that it's a bad look for them to do this in an unprecedented mid-decade cycle. And then the other thing is, I've been told that for all the pressure that's coming from D.C., there is not a map that is presented to, for example, the Senate caucus to say, hey, here's what we want to do. So they're still talking about something that's just a theory.
Nathan Gotch from Independent Indiana is our guest. New poll out. We saw the first sort of the headline of it, which was the Hoosiers against redistricting. But let's also talk about, and again, I want to come back to, I think it's important, you guys used a Republican pollster for this. You used some big lefty group. The Republican Party in Indiana is very unpopular. Talk about the numbers on the Republican Party.
So we asked Hoosier voters how they feel about the Republican Party. Only 33% had a favorable opinion of the Indiana Republican Party. I guess I should hold. And that is, not only is that just surprising in general, but people consider Indiana a reliably Republican state. It's surprising that only 1/3 of registered voters have that favorable opinion compared to 45% who say, no, I don't like the Indiana Republican Party.
And this is why our show's so popular, Ethan. I tell people this all the time. It's like people can vote however they want, and they vote mostly because they view Democrats as being crazy people, which is how I hope your group's elevates and does well, because people need a third option. But people hate the Republican Party in this state. They're just forced to because the other option's so bad.
Nathan, I got a question. Did you have happen to have a follow-up after that question? Would you vote for the Republican Party? Because the curious dichotomy that I find is, even though there's large unanimity with the dissatisfaction from this party, they are still willing to vote for the Republicans that they dislike because at least they're not a Democrat.
So it's a really good question. Let me give you some insights from other questions that might help answer that.
Okay.
So we asked these respondents whether they feel Indiana is headed in the right direction or had things gotten off on the wrong track. Now, overall, only 1/3 of people thought Indiana was headed in the right direction. But when you ask Republican voters, 1/4 of them said Indiana's on the wrong track. So again, Republican voters in a state that's controlled by Republicans, they're not happy about this. And when you start to break down who are these people, right? Because we asked them, all right, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you identifying now as an independent? So of our whole sample, and we talked to 604 respondents. This is primarily via phone. People do still answer unknown numbers, it turns out.
See, I need this because I will never respond to a text message survey. I'd love to get a phone survey, so I'm glad you guys did that.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they would be calling you, Rob, because they already know how you feel about everything. But only 29% of Hoosier voters right now are saying they're Republicans. 15% of them say that they are independents, but they're leaning Republicans. But again, that's a choice they're making to actually say, I'm not a Republican right now. I'm an independent. On the Democratic side, only 21% of them said they were Democrats. Would you factor in those numbers? You've got 29% saying I'm a Republican, 21% saying I'm a Democrat. 41% of Hoosier voters right now are saying I'm an independent.
That's fascinating.
All right, so let's get to the big reveal, which you wonderful man, you saved for our show. You asked about two specific political candidates, current incumbent office holders. You started with the governor, and his numbers are awful.
Well, look, I'm not here to weigh in on an opinion on that, but I'm just here to tell you the numbers. So,
well, I'll have the opinion.
I'll let you do that. So we asked people how they felt about Governor Mike Braun, and only 24% of them said they had a favorable opinion of him. Now, I wanted to get a little context for this. So I talked to someone who had worked in the Mitch Daniels administration. I said, was he ever at a place where he was, underwater on his favorables? And this person said, yes, after they pushed through daylight saving time, that upset a lot of people. And so he got really low. This person said Governor Daniels was at 41. And then slowly worked his way back up over the course of his terms. So 24% favorable is incredibly low. 43% had an unfavorable opinion of him. And when you dig into the partisan splits, people who say, hey, I'm a Republican, again, that's just 29% of Hoosiers right now, 53% of them had a favorable opinion of the governor.
So in his own party, you only had him at 53%.
That is what the poll results came back as, yes.
I got a question real quick.
Go ahead,
Have
Ethan.
you ever seen a governor's administration tank their approval numbers faster than Mike Braun, of either party, I guess?
Well, look, this is the first poll that we've done, so I don't have a reference for that. But I will tell you that the folks that I have shared this information with before we put them out this morning were consistently shocked by these numbers.
Okay, the next one, because look, Braun is not going to be on the ballot for the next several years, but that's good to know where the people are on Braun, and I think that matches what we hear on a consistent basis on this program and see on social media. But then you asked about Diego Morales, the Indiana Secretary of State. He's way underwater, but what's fascinating, and I guess if you're Bo Bai or Diego Morales, you could see this as a positive or a negative, nobody knows who the guy is.
Yeah, so overall across the state, 57% of voters had never heard of Diego Morales. That's pretty high for a statewide official who has traveled to all 92 counties.
That's right.
But
that $90,000 car is not paying off, Ethan.
But I will tell you that it's not out of sort of the realm of normalcy for somebody who's not a governor or a senator or something like that. So overall, the number of Hoosier voters who said they approve of Diego Morales, that was 5%.
What, can you say that again for everyone? Just want to make sure.
5% approval,
yeah.
17% disapproval, or favorable and favorable, technically.
And you said, and Ethan, I'm going to take a little pride in this, you said his numbers are worse here in central Indiana.
That is true. So in central Indiana, I have these right here. Let me pull them up. In central Indiana, Diego Morales is 6% favorable, 21% unfavorable.
Yeah, so I'm taking credit for that extra 4% that can't stand his guts.
If he has a 5% approval rating overall, what was the margin for error in the study?
It's 4%.
So it could be as low as 1%.
Yes, Diego could actually be at 1%. That would be great.
Can I add one more thing to this?
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. So among Republicans, his approval rating, his favorable, is higher. It goes from 5% to 7%.
Oh.
And the unfavorable is 15%. So he's twice as many people have an unfavorable opinion of him among Republicans, as have a favorable opinion of him.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head, though. The staggering thing is this guy basically campaigns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He uses his office as nothing but a campaign tool, and 57% of the people in the state are like, no idea who this guy even is.
$30,000 for travel well spent, Rob.
Well, and if you're Bo Bai, both of you guys, right? Like if you're Bo Bai, you got to say, okay, I can paint this guy with whatever canvas I want to paint him because I'm going to have millions of dollars to spend. But if you're Diego, you could also say, well, most people don't know about the shenanigans I've pulled, so I can paint myself however I want to paint myself. Nathan, tell us about Independent Indiana. Hey, by the way, if I could raise $10 million. You've seen these poll numbers. If I could raise $10 million, if I just some benefactor, right, was like, here's $10 million, I could team up with you guys. I could become the governor, right? $10 million, we could pull that off?
I'd have to talk to our board of directors first.
Would we accept you?
But I also, look, I think the headline for this is, there's a lot of people around the state who feel disillusioned with both political parties, with the candidates, with the elected officials we have. And the message of this polling, what this data tells us, you are not alone.
Yeah, that's great. Tell us about Independent Indiana. I think you guys are a great organization. I think you're doing the right thing, trying to let people know, hey, there's a lot of people who view the world, if you hate both parties. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, we're trying to spread the word about independent success in the state of Indiana. You can learn more by going to independentindiana.org. We're also working on a study to try to figure out how we can make it easier for people, maybe like you, Mr. Kendall, to run for higher office as an independent and be successful. I know that people across the state would quake when they hear that, but we want good people in these elected positions so that they have the freedom to do what's best for their constituents and not feel like they have to kowtow to whatever political party leader tells them to do.
$10 million. That's what I need. Nathan Gotch, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Casey filling in for the Hammer and Nigel show, and Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson placed on injured reserve. We'll have that and the recap of Monday Night Football on 93 WIBC.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numbness, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Matt Schulke, chiropractic neurologist and board certified in neuropathy. What is neuropathy?
Neuropathy is nerve damage in the feet or hands.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
Absolutely, and we get amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, pain, or balance issues, call Dr. Schulke today for a free nerve damage screening. This screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for their specialized treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Simply call 463-400-3338. Act now. Call 463-400-3338 for your free nerve damage screening. 463-400-3338.
Hi, I'm Dallas, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. You know she loves her Shane Company engagement ring, but you also want to surprise her for her birthday, anniversary, or just because she deserves it. Why not get her a bigger diamond with our Easy Trade-Up program? We'll give you the full credit of your original natural diamond purchase toward a new one. Her new diamond only has to be $1 more. You only pay the difference. How's that for an easy trade-up? Visit us in-store or at shaneco.com. Because a friend wants you to win the gifting game. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey guys, it's Rob, and I know what you're doing today. You're sitting around listening to this award-winning program thinking, I wish I could be as beautiful as Rob Kendall. And now you can with a trip to We Grow Hair Indy. That's how I got this beautiful. I looked like a legitimate goblin before my trip to We Grow Hair Indy. And it was such a great experience. It's been 5 years now since we made the decision to do that, and it has been awesome. Here's how it works. You call today, 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995. Schedule your totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. You go in, Darren and the gang, they're top-notch. They'll take a look at what's going on the top of your head, and when you go in there, you say, I want to be as beautiful as Rob Kendall. And then they will give you some options. You make the choice. They tell you what it's cost. It's in your hands, no pressure, no obligation. And while you're mulling your options over, you can see some other folks who made the choice to get their confidence back at We Grow Hair Indy by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com, WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call today, 317-522-2995. Tell them Rob sent you.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Head online to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra Thursday, December 4th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Okay, Ethan, you gotta help me with some math here because my politicians would never lie to me. So there's something I'm missing in this math equation. Are you ready?
Well, let's go.
It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's doing the afternoon show again with Jim today. So Ethan from Saturday Night on the Circle is in for Casey. So Capital Chronicle, our friends over there, had a big article. Indiana revenue comes in strong for September first quarter. And in fact, we're $270 million ahead for the first quarter of the year, which began in July. Now, that is good news. However, the Mensa members who run our state made very clear at the end of the legislative session, that would have been April, that the state was out of money, couldn't pay our bills, the revenue projections were bad, and because of that, we're not going to cut the government. We just have to raise taxes by $1 billion to fund the government. And I was trying to do some math in my head. And I struggled a little bit in math in high school. Luckily, we have the handy-dandy cellular telephone with the calculator on it. And 270 plus 270 plus 270 plus 270, well, that's more than $1 billion, which means they didn't need to raise taxes. So when do we get our tax increases back?
This is the same.
Did I miss something?
This is the same grift that they play with the road funding, where they say we don't have enough money to take care of the roads, even though road funding has increased since 2015 to the tune of tens of millions of dollars in increased revenue, but they still play the old sob story.
Well, you're spot on. We've had Jim Merritt talked about this, and when the session was winding down, he said, "Look, the responsible thing for the legislature to do would be to say, we don't have to pass a budget right this second. We can call a special session, as they're clearly open to doing on redistricting. Let's wait until June. Let's see how things look, and then we'll make a decision accordingly before raising taxes on people," which comes to what you said. They just wanted to raise taxes on people. Yeah. They don't care about actually, quote unquote, properly funding the government. They just wanted to raise taxes, and you're not hearing a peep from people going, hey, maybe we should, while we're in this special session of redistricting, unwind some of those tax increases on people since the revenues appear to be fine.
George Orwell once famously said his vision of the future was government stamping its boot on your face forever. But I think he got it slightly wrong, because government turns out to be an infinite pig eating from an infinite trowel. That's what the government is.
Real quick, I wanted to come back. We had Nathan Gotch on last segment, if you missed it, from Independent Indiana, and those poll numbers. Those poll numbers on Braun are awful. He was
21% among Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an awful number. So Braun was 24% overall, 43% disapprove, 24% approve, 43% disapprove in his first year in office. That's horrible. Yeah. He just won election.
I can't think of another administration that has managed to tank their approval in such spectacular fashion as the Braun administration. And a lot of that has to do with the way he disappointed Hoosiers very specifically on the property tax discussion. And that's reflected in the conversation here, where the government is taking in enormous amounts of revenue, but they don't care the pain that they have to put you through and squeeze you to get every last dime.
Yeah,
so they can continue to feed at the trough.
You're spot on with that, because there's nothing that Braun does that connects with regular people. Like when he's on Hammer and Nigel, and they do a great job interviewing him, but it's just like this aloof, disconnected, sort of discombobulated answers he gives, where there's zero in him where you go, he gets regular people. Like he understands what normal people are going through. And I think it's not going to get any better for him. There's nothing he's going to do or shows an inclination or a sign to do that shows it's going to get better for him going forward.
Disconnected is an excellent word for it. On their last interview, when he revealed he didn't even know that BlackRock was attempting to buy out Indianapolis' primary electric generating utility, he's completely unaware. This is the capital city. This is somewhere in the boondocks.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Jim Love is going to be our guest. He is with the Boone County Preservation Group. He has a great new piece in the Capitol Chronicle about the IEDC, about the LEAP District, about how our money has been wasted. It's Kendall And Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Well, the Fed just sounded the alarm. The stock market is dangerously overvalued. And if your retirement savings are tied up in the market, this could be the smart time to protect and grow your savings outside of Wall Street. Hey, one option gives you a 20% upfront bonus. It's got a competitive return that's averaged 10% annually for the last 10 years.
So here's the simple math. If you invest $200,000, you get an upfront $40,000 bonus. That's $240,000. That $240,000 could earn 10% or $24,000 in the first 12 months. So in the first year, that original $200,000 could grow to $264,000. Get all the information from Bill Demery, your retirement guy. Call 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120. 648-5120. Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on 2025 Lincoln Corsair, Nautilus, or Aviator. Plus get a $1,000 Tom Roush Trade Assist bonus. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Subject to credit approval. Not all buyers will qualify. See dealer for complete offer details. Offer ends 10/31/2025.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. For service today? Today.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Well, since my baby left me.
It's a tribute to the king of rock and roll. On October 17th and 18th, Frankie Marino and family come to the Hilbert Circle Theater to perform some of Elvis's most famous hits with conductor Enrico Lopez Yanez and the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra.
Well, it's so lonely it could die.
Don't wait. Get your tickets today.
My hand.
Tickets on sale now at IndianapolisSymphony.org or the ISO box office downtown.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, which Trump official is making a stop in the state today? Reaction as the government shutdown is into another week. What got people out protesting again in Indianapolis? Plus, who the Colts are placing on the injured reserve list. All that and more coming up. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. Time for Fox News. It's 10 o'clock.
Paying tribute to Charlie Kirk. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News today would have been his 32nd birthday.
A young guy who was the most brilliant speaker that I had ever met, could really capture a room within moments and change hearts and minds.
Tyler Boyer is the chief operating officer at Turning Point USA, the conservative group Kirk co-founded. He'll be there later today when President Trump will posthumously award Kirk with the nation's highest civilian honor.
President Trump expects a packed house. He and Kirk enjoyed a mutually uplifting relationship. It was the president who first confirmed Kirk's death and on that same day announced plans to award him with the Medal of Freedom.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff at the White House.
And Erica Kirk will attend this celebration of life today. Friday marked the 1 month point since her husband's assassination.
In Pennsylvania, the man who firebombed the governor's mansion in April, Cody Balmer, just pleaded guilty to attempted murder, arson, and other charges. Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were home, not hurt at the time. A day after Hamas released all the living hostages, it still hasn't turned over the bodies of 24 others, only returning the remains of 4 so far.
We've also begun to learn a little bit more about what some of those hostages went through, including one man who said he was basically chained in the same spot in an underground tunnel for almost the entire 2 years, where he says he lost all sense of space and time. Now, all 20 of the freed hostages overnighted in hospitals, many of them choosing to stay outside or on balconies to try and see the stars at night after 2 years in captivity.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Tel Aviv. On day 14 of the government shutdown, there's another funding vote in the Senate, but it may fail like all the earlier ones tend to stand off.
Republicans say they want to negotiate with Democrats over health care concessions, but only after the government reopens. Democrats don't trust Republicans, though, to follow through and compromise.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. The White House Budget Office, in a post on X, announced it plans to pay the troops and law enforcement and continue laying off other federal employees not working in the shutdown. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A Trump official visiting Indiana. Right now, sunny and 60 in downtown Indy. It'll get up to 78 for a high today, with skies staying mostly sunny all afternoon. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. President Trump's borders are Tom Homan is in Indianapolis today, speaking at an event called Fairness for Hoosiers, the need for state action on immigration. The event is being put on by State Attorney General Todd Rokita and State Representative J.D. Prescott. Today's luncheon is at the State House. It will not be open to the public or media, but it will be live streamed. The government shutdown entering its second week. Representative Marlon Stutzman says Republicans want a clean, continuing resolution with no extra benefits for undocumented immigrants. He also accuses Senator Chuck Schumer of playing politics.
This is very political. Frankly, he's been very worried about a primary with AOC in New York. And also the Virginia election is coming up in a month from now. And I think that this is a part of a strategy to help them win political campaigns.
By tomorrow, members of the U.S. military won't be receiving their regular paychecks, but the Trump administration says they're working on a way to get that fixed. More rallying from concerned Hoosiers against data centers.
We can't have politicians making decisions on our behalf, but a data center that's $500 million to speak for us. And so with us coming together, we're displaying we don't want to hear and we're not going to take it.
Dozens of people showed up to protest plans for a new data center at the former Sherman Drive-In Theater in the Martindale-Brightwood neighborhood of Indianapolis on Monday. There have been multiple proposals made for data centers in the state this year. The average price of gas in the state today, $2.89 a gallon, according to Gas Buddy. In Indianapolis, gas is at $2.88. The Indiana Pacers losing to San Antonio last night, 124-108 in preseason action. Head coach Rick Carlisle says they'll have to fix a few things on the defensive side.
We did a poor job with transition defense in the first quarter. Second quarter, it was a variety of different things that we're having problems with.
Benedict Mathurin for the Pacers had 31 points in the loss. They will face the Spurs again later on this week. And Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is heading to IR. The team announced he was placed on injured reserve Monday afternoon after sustaining an orbital fracture when an elastic stretch band he was using had snapped and hit him in the face during his pregame routine on Sunday. This means Richardson will miss at least the next 4 games. The Colts this coming Sunday will be in L.A. to take on the Chargers. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level on the go and on WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey back in 1 minute.
So October is here. I've got peace of mind with my Window Nation windows that the hot air is going to stay in my house and the cold air is going to stay out. You can eliminate annoying drafts once and for all with top quality replacement windows from Window Nation, just like I did. And they got an awesome deal right now going on at windownation.com.
Window Nation has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they send the best of the best out to your house. All of their experts have multiple years experience, and Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty. So schedule a fast and free estimate right now with Window Nation. And now through October 31st, buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. And you don't pay anything for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Ethan, you may have heard there's a lot of drama with the IEDC here in the state of Indiana.
I think I have heard a thing or two about that. Some controversy, some would say.
Yeah, and look, we're not letting this go. Of course, IEDC, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and this forensic audit that came out that essentially showed hundreds of millions of dollars over the past 3 years from 22 to 24, really just given away.
Massive conflicts of interest, and yet no criminal wrongdoing, we're told. Just some ethical considerations, but they'll fix that in the future. Don't worry.
Well, and we've touched on that, which is now that the information is out in which money was taken from poor and middle-class people and then given to this shadow quasi-government entity, and then those dollars, much of them went to companies, to organizations, to people who are connected, to people who are making the decisions. I think the 5-alarm fire now is that the governor came out and declared no criminal wrongdoing, but then says it's going to go to the inspector general when that's the job of the inspector general to decide if it needs to be forwarded to law enforcement for criminal proceedings.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense there, Rob. It makes about as much sense as the IEDC giving money to the Colts organization to advertise on the stadium. What is the Indiana Economic Development Corporation advertising in the Colts?
Yes, we will give you money. Come to us. But our next guest has been fighting, and he's been on this program multiple times over the years, has been fighting the Indiana Economic Development Corporation for years, and he's been fighting the LEAP District, which is the Well, the poster child for all that's wrong with the IEDC, and in part of that forensic audit, something like $400+ million of our money has gone to the LEAP Innovation District out in Lebanon. Jim Love joins us now, a farmer's farmer. Jim Love, hello.
Hello, Rob. Thank you for having us back.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a new piece out along with Brian Daggy in the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Now, you're a part of the Boone County Preservation Group, which has been fighting LEAP, fighting IEDC. Tell us about the piece you guys wrote, which I thought was very well written, just going right at the heart of these things that are wrong with IEDC.
So generally what we are for is responsible development of farmland, responsible development of the resources we have, and making sure that the resources that we have are used so that the future generations have some place to live and have resources to work with. And so these arsonists that are taking our resources right now and burning them to the ground in an effort to either build fortune and fame or build their resume or for whatever the reason, lots of which doesn't make sense until this audit comes out, and then things seem to straighten themselves out a little bit, because it seems unconscionable that the people that sit in the seats of political leadership, I would call them political leaders, but they're not. They're just the people that sit in those seats. Would vote so dramatically against the constituents that they're meant to represent. And so we said once again that now that we've had this audit come out and it shows that this money has misappropriated, that it's time for some real accountability. And so this business of where politicians can do things that are close to illegal or illegal, if you did that in the private sector, you'd lose your job.
So that was what, like we just touched on, and I want you to go into this a little bit. This is what's maddening to me. So Braun spends all this money, $800,000, to do this audit. It reveals all the stuff that people like Ethan and I have talked about for years, which is that the Indiana Economic Development Corporation is just a glorified, legalized money laundering operation. Mm-hmm. And then the governor, totally contradicts himself by going, well, it's going to the inspector general, but then also says, well, nothing criminal happened. That's up for the inspector general to decide, but he's already compromised the investigation.
Well, it's a classic problem where government is unable to police itself. And it's just human nature. If your wife said you're drinking too much beer and eating too much pizza, and you said, I will do an audit on that, dear, and I'll get back with you, you would probably call your buddies and you would concur that everything is A-OK. And so that's the problem, is that the government decides, hey, we're going to audit ourselves and we're going to make sure that we're above the board. And they always come back that they're just slightly above the board, enough that you can see a freckle on them.
Yeah, well, and this is the other part that's frustrating, is they write the rules special for themselves because they're in this quasi shadow government entity where, let's face it, 30 conflicts of interest. Ethan, we talked about this in the program. If you're a local government official and you violate conflict of interest statute, that could be a felony. And there's 30 of these here, and well, it's different for them because they write their own rules in their quasi government entity.
Well, and the IHC is a brilliant animal, because it is government when they need to drop the hammer and force somebody to do something or intimidate somebody to do something, and then they're non-government when they need to follow some rules that would be associated with the government.
There's also an enormous amount of hypocrisy here, because they're trying to offload responsibility for this malfeasance on prior administrations. Oh, well, we just got sworn into office. This isn't our administration's fault. It's the previous administration that did that, and there's nothing that we can do to fix about it. So, we'll wash our hands and do better in the future. But it begs the question, at what point are our elected leaders to be held accountable for what's going on with our money?
Well, and if you actually follow the train of people that are associates through this, it's not necessarily a new group of players. No. It's just a different group of players with different titles.
Jim Love is our guest. He is with the Boone County Preservation Group. Fabulous new piece out in the Indiana Capital Chronicle about the IEDC, about what has gone on. One of the things that came out, and I'm sure you're much more on this than I am, and I think I was low on that when I said 400, but it's close to 500 million of public money, most of it public money, went into this LEAP district, this mega development in Boone County. You live out there. What are you guys getting as a result of this? I guess most importantly, what are we getting? Because it seems like we're paying the tab as a state, but I don't understand what the return on investment is. Do you know?
Well, so we provided a spot for Eli Lilly to come up and build their facility, which is probably going to bring some jobs. Looks like it definitely will. And then the latest thing now is I believe what we're trying to do is we're trying to burn ground to get it off IEDC's books. So we've invited Meta to come up and burn an enormous amount of electricity, which we did not have, and consume a bunch of water. And before we leave today, we need to visit about that water, because the water is going to be the problem that Central Indiana will have into the future.
Let's talk about that, but real quick, I want you to remind everybody, because you've been on this program multiple times before, but how IEDC went about this, and you can go into some detail on this. They basically went to your fellow farmers, and they said, hey, you talked about being the government when they want to be the government. We're the government. You don't technically have to sell to us, but you're going to end up losing in the end anyway. So you can either fight us, or you can take this very large premium we're willing to pay for your ground. Either way, you're going to end up in the same position. You might as well just make it easy on yourself.
Basically, yeah. They basically said, hey, good luck. You can either fight us or you can go with us. But the interesting thing about this is these large sums of money that they're paying for this land, compared to the amount of money that these people are spending to build these facilities, the cost of land is inconsequential. And so that's why they can come in and wield a big stick, and the numbers are enormous, and they make the people that have had land very powerful out purchasing land in the secondary land market. However, to the project, it's just such an insignificant part of it. So yeah, they've come in, they've put the land package together through secrecy, and they made people sign NDAs, which was foolish that people even were willing to do that, because you should be able to talk to your neighbors about what you're doing, but they force people to do that. So they've got all this ground put together, and so now it's under contract for purchase agreement, and I really believe that what they're trying to do is they're trying to get it off their books. So instead of building this stuff compressed, they're building this stuff in a real spread out fashion.
So tell us about the water issue, because there's two major, look, there's the money that's been spent, and then there's the farm ground that's gobbled up. But the big concern is the lack of water and the power issue. And the water, I think the last time we talked to you, there was this huge controversy about where they're going to get the water from. They were trying to get it out of Tippecanoe County. Tippecanoe County's fighting back. What's going on with that?
So the current savior for water is going to be Citizens Energy. And the plan is, and this should, do you have any listeners in the Hamilton County area, Robert?
Oh, we got a couple.
Well, that's what
we're always told nobody's listening, but then we see 50,000 people a day are listening. So, somewhere in between 0 and 50,000, Jim, take a shot at it.
Well, here's something that those folks should be concerned with. So they're going to bring 25 million gallons of water from the east. Well, where is extra water in the east, in Indiana? I mean, if you look at the growth of Indiana, it's in the east. And the gentleman that we were at a meeting one night that had ran Westfield's water plant said that what they do over there is they keep punching wells down in the White River Aquifer, and when one municipality's well goes dry, they punch a deeper one and screw the rest of them. So if you live in any of those areas and you're wondering how do they have extra water to send to us, that's anybody's mystery, because now we've got a data center that's going to need 5 million gallons of water, and it's just not there. We're also going to use 10 times the highest rate that our local utility has ever used in a day. The Meta facility will use 10x that rate. So they're having to build new power lines, which will ultimately end up in ratepayers' pockets somehow.
And, it's also a shame you mentioned on the amount of farmland that's getting gobbled up by these concrete megastructures, because once you have put those concrete foundations deep into the earth, it's often not financially feasible to return that to arable farmland, because it's going to require millions of dollars of remediation to take all the foundation and the concrete and the gravel and the things out of the soil just to get it back. So once it's gobbled up, it's gone, essentially. And that's just, for an agricultural state like Indiana, it's a crying shame.
Yeah, you can never return that ground back. If you watch what's going on in these buildings, the ground is so good where we're at that they are having to use lime to lime stabilize it. And the amount of lime they have pumped into the ground to try to firm up this ground so that they can build these roads and a bunch of these buildings is just incredible. And so, yeah, that land is never going to be brought back into production. It will have to be into some kind of a commercial endeavor indefinitely.
We'll get you out of here with this, Jim. Yeah, I get called an old man who yells at clouds quite a bit, right? But
you're a young man who yells at clouds.
I'm a young man. Not as young as I used to be, but as young as I'll ever be, right? Because I see this happen in my hometown, and I see what's happened to you guys. It makes me sad because fields and farming, not that I grew up on a farm or was a farmer, but seeing and being around your friends, your family, the people you grew up with, that farming was, or people you consider to be like your family. This was what we were, what Central Indiana was. It's what you knew. It's what you there was something great about it. And it's all gone now. And it just seems like it's these high-density housing developments of a bunch of people who, in large part, don't connect with the community or don't have any tie to the history of the community, or these mega buildings that are lifeless, that are dystopian. And I just see all this stuff go away, and it just makes me feel so sad to see what's become of it. Am I totally off base? I feel like with you, I have sort of a kinship with that and the people that you are working with to try to put a stop to some of this madness.
It is sad because it has been the tradition here. We were the largest industry in the state of Indiana for years. But it even goes deeper than that. Is folks now, there seems to be a big push to eat more natural, eat healthy things. And the only way anybody knows how to do that is by using this earth that we've been blessed with and we've been given to be a steward of. And it is grow crops, raise animals, do things to create healthy food sources. And without that, nobody wants to eat synthetic food, regardless of what some of the billionaires in this country think would be a great idea. And nobody really wants to eat crickets so that they as a protein source. So if you want healthy food, we're going to have to keep some of this farmland. And all farmland is not equal. That's the other thing. There's a great misconception.
Yeah.
Because they say, well, just go to Nebraska, just go to Kansas. Well, I get to travel a lot of those areas. And rest assured, we can do great things in Central Indiana without using additional water sources, which is awesome, and grow good, healthy food to keep feeding a hungry world.
Jim Love of the Boone County Preservation Group, thanks for the fight, my friend. Keep it up.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, it's Kendall And Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
There's a real truth here that is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Gen Z is not hooking up. And you're missing out on experiences. You're missing out on connections. I don't know why it isn't important, but being afraid of the experience is a real problem for the soul. Well, how do you find people? How do you create? To quote Avenue Q, there is life outside your apartment.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Enough is enough. Governor Braun said he would listen to Hoosiers and stand up to Washington's plans to rig our maps. But now, those Washington insiders are coming to Indiana to finish the job. Unless we can stop them, we want our votes to count, our voices to be heard, and for lawmakers and Governor Braun to focus on issues that matter to us. Utility bills, inflation, taxes. Keep standing strong against redistricting at playfairindiana.com. Paid for by Indiana Conservation Voters.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Transform your backyard this fall with Indie Decorative Concrete. Get a free outdoor furniture set with their best stamped concrete patio package. Hurry, offer ends November 1st. Visit IndieDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
So, North Carolina getting into the redistricting game. This whole thing is stupid beyond belief. It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's on the afternoon show today. Ethan Hatcher, Saturday Night on the Circle, in for Casey. So, it is amazing to me, Ethan. I call it like a shapeshifter argument on redistricting, that they'll make it whatever they need it to be. The people who want the redistricting, which is Nathan Gotch from Independent Indiana was on earlier today talking about their poll done by a Republican pollster, shows overwhelmingly people in the state are against redistricting. People just aren't for this because they see it for what it is, and the Republicans don't give them any reason to be excited about gaming the system.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. It's a political process, and it's currently being manipulated for political ends, but that's a very dangerous game when you're talking about a system that's designed to be representative of the people, and this is seeking to circumvent that representation.
Yeah, we had David Shelton on yesterday, who's a Knox County clerk. He's running for Secretary of State. He's apparently flip-flopped on redistricting. He was against it just last month, and now he appears to be for it, and he didn't really have an answer for that.
The answer is it's political.
Well, right. And so I asked him yesterday, and he didn't have an answer for this either. I said, this is ridiculous to say, well, Indiana's a red state. We should have red representation. Indiana is not a 100% red state. It's a 60-40 state. If 60% generic Republican versus generic Democrat, all things being equal, that's probably about what you're going to get on the vote result. Maybe a little less, but you get the idea. We currently have 78% of our congressional seats are held by Republicans. We're already tilted in a Republican way. And what he didn't have an answer for is I said, well, then why don't we just declare whoever wins the presidential race gets all the seats? Right. California, New York, Indiana, Texas. Why don't we just do that? And there's no answer for that because that's utterly ridiculous, which brings me to North Carolina, in which I think Trump won. I saw this posted yesterday by my buddy Steve, who's Mr. Data Man. And we referenced Steve quite a bit on this show. He's a former local newspaper writer who's great with facts and figures. I think Trump won less than 51% of the vote in North Carolina in 2024. Are you looking that up?
I am looking that up now.
I think he won less than 51% of the vote in 2024, and yet their representation is currently
He won 50.9% of the vote.
Thank you.
In 2024.
So that's a swing state. Like that is right. That's right down the middle. It could go either way. Both times it tends to go Republican, but they have a Democrat governor. Their Senate races are close. It's like sort of the ultimate swing state. And yet they already have a 10-4 Republican map, and now they're about to go in again and make it 11-3. And I can tell you, as someone who owned a business in North Carolina for years, it is not an 11-3 state. It is exactly what the presidential election was, which is 51-49. And so Republicans, like in Indiana, are trying to act like this stuff isn't going on in all of these other states. You got Ohio that's going to do it. You've got Missouri that's trying to do it. You've got Texas, which has already done it. You've got Louisiana considering it. Ohio, like all of these other states are doing this, and we try to act like the apologists here, try to act like, well, if Indiana doesn't do it, then everything's going to go up in smoke. No, other states, which are less Republican than Indiana, are already doing this, and it's equally or even more ridiculous there.
And it's kind of a fascinating conversation to begin with, that you can fidget with the borders of congressional representation to achieve this outcome, that people's voting habits are predictable as a byproduct of their geography. And so all you have to do is fidget with that geography to affect the desired outcome.
And we got a lot of messages, and I love all of our listeners when we took those phone calls yesterday from people calling in. Then I got a lot of messages, and the only thing I hear from people who are for it is, well, we can't let the Democrats take control. That's it. They straight up own Republicans are bad at governing. They straight up own our maps are already fair. Well, we just can't let the Democrats have control. And my point to those people is, if you're willing to accept a slow walk to insolvency as a nation, I kind of think maybe you're part of the problem, because the Republicans are not going to ever change. You have the ability to make the Republicans change. They can be better. They're choosing not to be because you keep voting in fear. You keep rolling over no matter, I can't say that, no matter what crap sandwich they serve you, and going, well, this is horrible, but, well, I can't have the Democrats. Okay, I guess I'll accept whatever you give me. And I resoundingly reject that. And it pains me that so many people still make this just a two option choice here, when there's a third option which says, no, tell these people, get their act together. You're not supporting them until they do, and then they will get their act together.
Well, that's also part of the problem, because when you create these uber safe, guaranteed Republican seats, you get the worst kind of representation, which we've seen here in Indiana. The Republican Party's quality has declined as they have cemented their supermajority in the state. There's no reason to think that this outcome won't be played out in other states.
Yeah, all right, let's take a break. We got the news, and we come back. We got some interesting audio from Bill Maher, Obama. They're both talking about Trump, saying very, very different things. And so we'll play the two left guys saying very different things about Trump when we come back. It's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Football is back, and so are great hairlines. We Grow Hair Indy has helped former local professional football players get back in the game with full natural hair. You don't have to play pro ball to get pro-level results. Hey, it's Rob, and I knew I picked the right team when I needed a Hail Mary for my hair. I called We Grow Hair Indy. Whether you're tailgating, coaching, or watching from the couch, do it with confidence. Trade the sidelines for a hairline. Get back in the game at We Grow Hair Indy. Schedule your free evaluation today at WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com, or call 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. Enjoy being out and about this fall. Enjoy watching the games in person with your friends with confidence you haven't had in years. And you can do it with a trip to We Grow Hair Indy. 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Tell them Rob sent you.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Back in the States after signing the deal. Mostly sunny, 62 in the Circle City, 77 is the high for today. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:30. President Trump is back in D.C. after his trip to the Middle East, where he celebrated the deal aimed at ending the war in Gaza. Fox's Alexandria Hoff.
On Air Force One on his way back that this was a historic day, to say the least. It would have also been an exhausting one for anybody else, but the president does have a packed schedule throughout the rest of this week. But you also heard him praise the role that these partner nations had in this, that critical role, and that admiration was well reciprocating for the president taking charge. And domestically, rare praise coming in from Democrats. Former Vice President Kamala Harris sharing, "I commend the leaders and partners whose efforts made this agreement possible, including the president and his team."
The remaining 20 living hostages held in Gaza by Hamas have returned to Israel, as hundreds of Palestinian prisoners have been released after being held in Israel. Law enforcement is looking to increase security for an ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois this week. A fence put up outside the facility will have to come down before midnight tonight due to a court order that says the fence is up in a spot that blocks fire trucks and ambulances to get through if needed. President Trump wants to send federal troops into the city of Chicago to crack down on crime, but courts have already blocked the deployment of Texas National Guard members in that city. Meanwhile, Trump's border czar Tom Homan is in Indiana today, speaking at an event hosted by State Attorney General Todd Rokita that focuses on illegal immigration. And two-term Maine Governor Janet Mills is joining a crowded Democrat primary to try and become U.S. Senator. The race is for the seat currently held by Republican Susan Collins. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's Terry Stacy, and not too many locally owned businesses in central Indiana have been around 80 years. But Cardwell Do It Best on the south side has stood the test of time. Congratulations to Jeff Cardwell and Cardwell Do It Best, recently named 2025 Member of the Year by Do It Best. Autumn brings about whole new to-do lists, and Cardwell Do It Best has everything you need and even stuff you didn't know you needed, like extra keys. They make keys, including programmable keys and key fobs. Cardwell is your discount roofing headquarters, featuring dimensional roofing as low as $21 per bundle. And for the yard, find a full line of trusted lawn and garden products and Milwaukee M18 fuel cordless power tools. Come celebrate 80 years strong at Cardwell Do It Best. Locally owned, community trusted, and always ready to help you do it best. 3205 Madison Avenue. Shop online where you'll find over 67,000 products with free shipping at CardwellHomeCenter.com.
Pat Sullivan here with a weather update. It's October, and we still have no clue if your AC should be blasting or your furnace needs to start kicking. Better have both prepared with a $49 AC unit and furnace maintenance from Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Is it sweater weather or tank top weather? Nobody knows. But we do know that you can ensure total comfort inside your home for only $49. Call my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
Liberal misery is interesting to me, and I want to get into that here in just a second. It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Actually, Casey's in today. She'll be in the afternoon show. We'll hear from her coming up in just a minute. But Ethan Hatcher in for Casey. Now, I think Ethan will back me up on this. Casey does. People will say, well, pot, meet, kettle. You're talking about someone's misery. I am incredibly happy in my actual life itself. Like my daily existence outside of this building and talking about politics, incredibly happy. I loathe my government. I loathe what they've done, the people who make the choices, and I get for basically 3 hours a day to come in here and fight on that. And then I get to go be happy and watch my kid grow up and be a husband and a father. And so I it's sort of my life is kind of a weird dichotomy in the sense of I am completely miserable in the things that I talk about each day in my job, but my actual existence, I find great happiness. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense because you work out all your nervous energy here, and evidence of that is the fact that you're not like making these weepy TikTok videos and posting them like some of these blue-haired liberal, nutcases.
One of the things that it took me a while to figure out how to do this, and I finally was able to do it, is you got to compartmentalize your life if you're going to be engaged with politics, because it is essentially just a den of miserable snakes. And anytime you walk into that, you've got to be able to recognize that's what you're dealing with, and you're never actually going to defeat it for the most part. You can fight it, which we do here every day, but the idea of it's ever going to stop is never going to happen. And I think that's a real challenge for a lot of people who enter the political arena. And I think liberal people tend to struggle to do that more maybe than some conservative people. Like a great example of this would be Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann was at one point one of the most famous sports broadcasters in the country. He was the Sports Center guy. He had a great life. He was rich. He talked about sports for a living. He had an incredible sports memorabilia collection. Like, he had all of these things, dated famous women. Like, he had all the things you'd be like, what a cool life. And his drive over politics and the misery that it created for him, he just couldn't separate, to the point that not only did he end up alienating himself at ESPN, but then when he got in the arena of politics, he flamed out everywhere he went because he couldn't separate the personal from the political, and he couldn't just be happy as a person. And now look at him. He's just some guy who rants on the internet.
Yeah, I was about to say, he lives his life perpetually online, and that's the difference, because yours is an exercise in compartmentalization. Yes, you're incredibly outraged, as well you should be, with the state of Republican governance here in the state of Indiana, and you report on it regularly here on the Kendall and Casey show, but then when you go home, you're able to leave it aside. Keith Olbermann doesn't have that ability, and that's part of the reason why he's burned out everywhere.
Okay, so I mentioned all this because Obama was on. Mark Maron is a well-known comedian. He's been around for 30 plus years now. Has had television shows. He was on Dave Letterman for years, and I don't know, about 15 years ago, he started a podcast when that was sort of a groundbreaking thing, and this thing blew up. And isn't that funny? Just like 15 years ago, the idea of having a podcast,
the new frontier of podcasting.
It really was. Like, I mean, I think about the business that I owned for years, which was streaming high school and college sports on the internet. And we started this thing in 2006, and it was this novel thing. Like, people weren't doing it, and we grew that business, and then we got bypassed by technology over time. But there was about a 7 or 8 year window where it's like, that's so cool, these guys do this, and that's how they earn their living. But the podcasting is the same way. We used to do podcasts for people in the early days, and it was this like super advanced thing. That's cool, you guys can do a podcast for me.
I mean, it was just a totally different technological background. I mean, back in 2006 here in Indiana, there were still people who had internet that made noises when you connected to it.
Yeah, that's right. So Mark Maron had this podcast that he got off the ground. It'd be WTF, I think was the name of the podcast, and it became a very big thing. And he announced, hey, after 15, 16 years, whatever it's been, I'm done with this. It's run its course, and I want to get off. And he's a liberal guy, and he was on Air America years ago. But one of the guests that kind of made him was he got Obama shortly after Obama got elected president of the United States. And he went on this guy's podcast, and it kind of blew up. And so for his final guest, he decided it was going to be Obama. And I think he went to one of Obama's numerous houses and interviewed Obama. And they got to talk. They talked about a variety of things. And they're talking about Obama gets going on himself, and then Trump. And you can't see it. There's video with this, and you really need to see the video to see the body language. But listen to kind of just the misery in the tone of Obama's voice as he's talking about Trump becoming president after him. And I so wish, which we can't do here, obviously, because it's radio, but I so wish we could show the video with it, because the body language is fascinating. Take a listen.
I mean, what was unusual for me was, obviously, a lot of what I represented. Yeah. A lot of what Michelle and I had tried to project, the values, our thinking about America. You know, my successor seemed to represent the opposite.
Right.
Not seemed, did.
Yeah.
And so I think there was a lot of anger, a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Some fear among a big chunk of the country.
Okay, so a couple things that were super interesting to me on that. Number one, the tone, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because the guy who came after me, I was so great, and the guy who came after me was so different than me. It's an indictment of me, which it really was. Right? But then there's also, look, the reality in this country is people hate all the parties, and that's why they ping pong back and forth. They're looking for an answer in the government, and they never find it. And that's why we go from, it went from Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden to Trump. People they hate all of these sides. But yet in Obama's mind, hey, they loved me so much. How could they have done this to me? No, sir, they didn't love you. I think the first race there was a group of people, and then they kind of figured it out. But the second Obama election, the Democrats lost over 1,000 seats between governors, state house, local governments during Obama. He's the only one who survived politically. But that was because the Republican choice in 2012 was Romney, and he was so bad. But in Obama's mind, I was so great, and they loved me so much. How could they have done this to me?
I also think it's a fascinating insight into his ego and his entitlement when he was speaking about, and it was what Michelle and I represented to the people. It was what we represented as a larger force. You know,
that's well done.
Thank you. It's one of my best impressions.
Well done.
But the idea that he's a symbolic, almost religious kind of figure and not a means to an end, because people are supporting you and voting for you for what you can do as a matter of policy, not what you symbolically represent as a force of, good versus evil or whatever the hell he was thinking.
Yeah, and, one of the things that I found and why I had to get out of it was I was there for the people. Like everything I did, I viewed as, how does this help my neighbors? And you notice with these guys, there's never any of that. Like you just touched on, there's the symbolism of what I represented. When as an elected person, whether you're a U.S. senator or a municipal elected official or all points in between, if you do it right, you should be thinking about how does this make people more free, less dependent on government, able to do things for themselves, and the betterment of the community or the area that I serve in the process. And with these people, it's always these big ideas that are totally detached from those things. And so you have this guy in Obama who has all of this stuff, right? He's rich. He's famous. He was the president. He's got all these homes. And look at how miserable he sounds, and he looked as equally miserable as he sounds, because you're never going to find happiness in the viper den of government. The ideals, the people, any of it, it's all just a bunch of snakes.
Yeah.
It's all a bunch of snakes. Someone who's not a snake is Casey Daniels, and she will join us next. She's doing the afternoon show today. We'll find out what they're going to be talking about. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the fallout from the peace deal, and why are so many people on social media so angry? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping us to another record year. We recently saved a 62-year-old retiring couple over $800 monthly when compared to their COBRA offerings. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 monthly when compared to their $7,500 deductible program on the ACA, and that's still Obamacare. We recently saved a small 4-man manufacturing company over $1,000 monthly and gave them better coverage. We feature coverages guaranteed to age 65, low out-of-pocket expenses, the largest networks in the country, and you can sign up anytime. If you are retiring early, self-employed, or need coverage for your small group, call us at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. What do you got to lose? Call us 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. As always, God bless America, common sense government, and peace too strict.
Well, the Fed just sounded the alarm. The stock market is dangerously overvalued. And if your retirement savings are tied up in the market, this could be the smart time to protect and grow your savings outside of Wall Street. Hey, one option gives you a 20% upfront bonus. It's got a competitive return that's averaged 10% annually for the last 10 years.
So here's the simple math. If you invest $200,000, you get an upfront $40,000 bonus. That's $240,000. That $240,000 could earn 10% or $24,000 in the first 12 months. So, in the first year, that original $200,000 could grow to $264,000. Get all the information from Bill Demery, your retirement guy. Call 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120. 648-5120. Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. You can say goodbye to cracked, stained, and dirty old floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out the color. Upgrade your home today by calling Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. And they come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. The phone number, 877-417-0635. You can find them online, too. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
At Duke Energy, we're making Indiana's energy grid stronger and more resilient, ready for storms and growing energy demands. We're adding more power to the Indiana grid. We're using new innovations and smart technology to restore outages faster. And we're doing it all in cost-efficient ways to keep bills as low as possible while we serve you with reliable energy. Duke Energy, building a smarter energy future. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Hey, guys, it's Rob for Life Church. And I know one of the things when we go to church, it's like, what are we going to do with our kid? And Life Church has amazing youth ministries and makes your kids a priority. At Life Church, they believe God's word is for all ages. And yes, that kids too can have a relationship with Jesus. Life Church Next Gen Ministry is top notch. And at Life Church, they believe the whole family matters, which is why they say, parents, you can do this. We will help you. Visit the Next Gen page at lifechurchin.com to reach out to the team with questions or check out their service times and locations. lifechurchin.com.
So where's the lake?
Not here.
But it says Great Lakes Honda of Fishers.
Right. I just don't see a lake.
Well, who needs a lake when you can lease a 2026 HR-VLX all-wheel drive for $309 a month and 0 down?
That definitely won't soak our bank account.
Oh, it's the old Honda of Fishers.
Great Lakes, great people, great cars.
But no actual lake. Visit our showroom off State Road 37 today. Tax and title fees not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. 10,000 miles a year, not combinable with other offers. Loyalty or conquest rebates may apply. Offer ends October 31st. See dealer for details.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
Our electric bills have increased as much as $50 each month. Governor Mike Braun is driving bills even higher. Instead of helping families, Governor Braun is doubling down on costly coal, gas, and nuclear. That means more pricey power plants that Hoosiers like us have to pay for. Utilities get richer, we pay more. Something has to give. Go to StopMikesHikes.com today to send Governor Braun a message. Hoosiers need affordable energy, not a blank check for greedy utilities. Paid for by Citizens Action Coalition.
See a wreck on 465? Find a new pothole on your way to work? You can let Matt Bear know and help out your fellow travelers. Text WIBC to 317-239-9393 and join the text club.
She is one half of the afternoon show again today, and normally she's one half of this award-winning program. She joins us now on the WIBC hotline. Casey Daniels, hello.
Hey, good morning, Rob and Ethan. How are you guys today?
Well, we're doing great, Casey, because I don't know if you heard earlier, Nathan Gotch from Independent Indiana, a friend of our show, was on. New poll numbers out, and it shows everyone hates Mike Braun.
You know what? I'm just sitting here reading this poll myself, and I'm really noticing, based on the other poll from 3D Strategic Research and also North Star Opinion Research, that, wow, he is really underperforming Donald Trump. And I'm told that Indiana is a deep red state. So what's going on?
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing, right? And we hear it from our audience every single day when we get the emails, the online messages, et cetera. And you and I have pondered this before. Does Braun have any idea what's actually going on? You know, we joke, could he ever run a Twitter? You know, could he tweet if his life depended on it? But it appears he's totally aloof to what's going on around him because there's another poll out that we just revealed today where people hate his guts.
Yeah, getting some unfavorable marks. 46% unfavorable, and boy, another one, 43% unfavorable. And I noticed that a couple of these polls also put the lieutenant governor in there. He's getting some unfavorable remarks. So is the Secretary of State, Diego Morales, 21% unfavorable. But you have to also take away if, for example, the Secretary of State, Diego Morales, is getting 9% favorable and 21% unfavorable. Well, that leaves about 70% of people who don't know who he is.
Yeah, so that's what's very interesting. But like I said, we take credit because Diego's unfavorables in central Indiana, even though he's underwater across the state, they're higher here in central Indiana, and I think we get the credit for those extra people who can't stand him.
Yeah, and when you look at our state senators, let's see, Todd Young is scoring higher marks than Jim Banks. What do you make of that? Is it because he's been in office longer, so people are more familiar with him?
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Casey. He's a Marine.
I've heard that. Somebody told me that one time. Yeah.
Casey is our guest. She will be, she did not take the day off. She will once again be filling in this afternoon with her husband, Jim. What's it like to have to work with your husband?
Doesn't everybody want to have a take their spouse to work day? I tell you all the time to have Gabrielle come in and do the show with you. Why don't you ask him, what's it like working with your spouse?
I'll answer for Casey on that. What's it like working with me? I believe it's very similar to your interview with Donald Trump. Everybody calls it a great dream.
You know, we're sitting here in the kitchen prepping out the show for tomorrow. So working together is kind of like there's no escape from the politics, Rob. It's happening all the time, everywhere.
Hey, both of you guys, Casey, you're on a heater with Notre Dame. Hammer and I aren't doing the show for college until tomorrow because he's still out of town. That Irish spread now against USC is up to 9.5. Notre Dame is giving 9.5 against USC. That seems like a lot of points.
I would have placed that bet when it was at 7.5.
Right.
You had to wait a day. Now it's 9.5. I don't know. I still think Notre Dame, ranked 13, they're going to win over USC. Are we taking the points?
Jim, your wife's on a heater. What do you say?
Well, I think we'll maybe take a deeper look at the over-under on that because you're right. 9.5 points is an incredible amount.
61.5. That's the over-under right now.
I like the over on at first glance, first opinion. I like the over on that.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay, so Jim and Casey filling in for Hammer and Nigel this afternoon. What are you guys going to talk about? Like, what's interesting to you guys?
You know what I saw, which I find really interesting, is Home Depot. I don't know if you're aware of this. They have this program called Path to Pro, and it's free trade training. They're preparing people for a career within the trades. They offer basic skills, trade essentials, additional training, and it's a free program, and it's on demand, so you do it when you want to do it. So, for example, if there's somebody who has a son or a nephew or a grandson who maybe wants to be a carpenter or a plumber, an electrician, Home Depot offers free training on their time schedule. I think that's fascinating, really helping the next generation with some skills. So we're going to have a round of working man, workout, rock out. So all songs about the working man. And I feel like after years of being on with Hammer and Nigel, Allison should be pretty familiar with this hair metal music. So we're going to test her skills this afternoon and see how she does with that.
Hey, before we let you guys go, Jim, be honest. When old Moudet for the Bears, who had been like working at an Arby's or something until the day before the game, when he had that 38-yard field goal in the rain to win, how nervous were you?
Until I'm 90 years old, anytime the Bears are kicking a potentially game-winning field goal, the double doink will rattle around in my head. I've been scarred for life from the double doink. So, no, I had no confidence last night.
Yeah, I looked at my old man when that ball went through the uprights, and I said, that looks like it went through the uprights. He's like, it did, idiot. And I said, then they won? He's like, yes, get out of my house.
Yeah, right. It's so nice that he lets you come over and watch that game with him.
All right, you guys behave and have a good afternoon show today.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, when we come back, Josh Bain from the Indianapolis City County Council will join us. He's going to weigh in on that big expose yesterday that came out in the Indy Star in Mere Indy about more shenanigans with Joe Hogsett and his right-hand man, Thomas Carl Cook. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
tortured by the sirens sweetly singing.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on 2025 Lincoln Corsair, Nautilus, or Aviator. Plus get a $1,000 Tom Roush Trade Assist bonus. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Subject to credit approval. Not all buyers will qualify. See dealer for complete offer details. Offer ends 10/31/2025.
It's the strongest hearts that remind us to cherish the moments. It's the grandmas who made us sit up straighter, the grandpas who showed us old records, and the parents who were embarrassingly loud at our games. It's those hearts that are anything but ordinary. Caring for extraordinary hearts for decades, Franciscan Health knows heart care is more than just a name on a chart. It's somebody who shaped your whole life. Heal your heart today at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Need to sell your home without the hassle? Sell your home to people you can trust. Call Simple Quarters, 317-900-HOME. Simple Quarters, sponsor of Fill Up in the News with Tony Katz.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Look, switching point of sale systems is a total nightmare, right? But here's the thing. Shopify POS makes switching easier. A Shopify POS expert, a real human being, helps with setup and data migration. No need to be your own tech support, because with Shopify POS, you get support for free. You'll also get a free card reader and 25% off POS subscription fees. Switching your POS is easier with Shopify. Eligibility requirements apply. To learn more, visit shopify.com/switchnow. That's shopify.com/switchnow.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, is any progress being made in the government shutdown saga, where a person was killed in a crash involving a school bus, and a crazy discovery made in Fayette County? You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
He admits he firebombed the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. And for that, Cody Balmer gets 25 to 50 years in prison, sentenced this morning after pleading guilty to attempted murder, arson, and terrorism.
Police say he used a Molotov cocktail to start the fire at Governor Josh Shapiro's home in April as the governor and his family were asleep upstairs. They escaped unhurt, but the fire destroyed the dining room where Shapiro had hosted a Passover Seder just hours earlier. Investigators say Balmer told officials he harbored hatred for Shapiro and targeted him over, quote, perceived injustices to the people of Palestine.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The day after the last 20 living hostages were set free from Gaza, they're still recovering in hospitals in Israel. Hamas also turned over 4 bodies, but not the remains of 24 other dead hostages. Amron Cooper's among them. He was killed in captivity. His son, Rotem, tells Fox,
Hamas is not negotiating in good faith. That's very clear. And now the next few days are crucial to send a very clear message to Hamas that this is not going to be tolerated.
A loss at the Supreme Court for Alex Jones. The justices refusing to consider his appeal, leaving in place a $1.4 billion penalty the controversial InfoWars host has to pay to the families of the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre victims. They had won their lawsuit for defamation and emotional distress for Jones's claims the shooting was a hoax and the victims were actors. The government remains shut down.
2 weeks of Democrats in Congress inflicting untold pain on the American people.
And while House Speaker Mike Johnson blames Democrats, they say it's Republicans' fault for not negotiating, and another Senate vote on funding is expected to fail today. It's Charlie Kirk's birthday. The murdered conservative activist would have turned 32. And this afternoon, President Trump will pay tribute at a White House ceremony. Kirk friend and colleague Tyler Boyer will attend.
It's an emotional moment because we know how deserved it is.
The president will posthumously award Kirk the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Still not sure when it'll end. Sunny, 67 on Monument Circle, 78 is the high for today. I'm Jarrett Lewis. It's now 11:02. The government is still shut down. Indiana Representative Marlon Stutzman says Republicans are dug in, determined to stop the handouts, and he tells All Indiana Politics that the bill they sent to the Senate is their final offer.
We're still waiting on the Senate. The House Republicans, we passed the government funding bill almost 2 weeks ago. It was sent over to the Senate, and there's still a disagreement in the Senate. I was with Senator Banks, and it sounds like there's still just a kind of a stare down.
The Trump administration also just pumped $300 million into a food program that helps millions of low-income moms and young kids. Indiana State Police now investigating a fatal crash that happened Monday afternoon in Tippecanoe County involving a school bus. Troopers responded to an area along State Road 43 near County Road. They say a person was attempting to cross the road when they were hit and killed. There were no students on board the bus at the time of the crash, no other injuries to report. The Tippecanoe School Corporation said the bus driver will be placed on leave while police investigate. Part of a human skull is found on the bank of the Whitewater River in Fayette County. Jake McDaniel reports.
The Fayette County Coroner's Office said Monday that specialists from the University of Georgia and UIndy's Human Identification Center confirmed how old the skull was. They say it dates back to 2300 BC, making it more than 4,000 years old. The remains were first found this year in June, and that's when the Coroner's Office started looking into this. They are working with the Indiana Natural Resources Department. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Colts running back Jonathan Taylor continues his hot start to the season after rushing for 123 and a touchdown Sunday in the Colts win over the Cardinals. Head coach Shane Steichen says you can never take his talent for granted.
Oh yeah, you appreciate it. It's fun to watch as a coach when that ball gets handed off to him and he makes those plays. The guys up front really creating that space for him, and to end the game in the 4-minute situation with the ball in his hands was awesome.
The Colts will look to move to 6-1 on the season this coming Sunday when they face the Chargers in L.A. The team announced on Monday that they placed quarterback Anthony Richardson on injured reserve after he injured his eye during Sunday's pregame warmups. The Pacers falling to the Spurs in preseason play last night, 124-108. Benedict Mathurin had 31 points in the loss. Indiana will next battle San Antonio again on Friday. And Butler basketball legend and 14-year NBA player Gordon Hayward is returning to the university's men's basketball program to be an executive basketball advisor. That was announced by the university this morning. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Pat Sullivan here. I've got a fall lifesaver for you, gutter helmet. You know what fall means in Indiana? Leaves, piles of them. And if you've got gutters, you've got a problem, unless you've got gutter helmet like I do. I haven't cleaned my gutters in years. Why? Because gutter helmet does the dirty work for me. This isn't just a cover. It's a patented system that allows water to flow through while the debris slides off and your gutters stay clear. No more ladders, no more scooping out soggy gunk. Just peace of mind. Thousands of Central Indiana homeowners have already made the switch. Gutter helmet has been America's #1 choice for gutter protection since 1981. And it's been protecting my home every time it rains. And right now, they're offering a 15% discount plus 12 months no-interest financing. But don't wait. This deal ends October 31st. Call 800-5HELMET for your free no-pressure estimate. That's 800-5HELMET or visit gutterhelmetindy.com and never clean your gutters again.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So a big expose yesterday in the Indy Star, telling us sort of what we already knew, but in more detail about what a complete dumpster fire the Joe Hogsett administration is running the city of Indianapolis. It's Kendall And Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher in for Casey. Let's see what the Republicans in Marion County are saying about this bombshell piece in the Indy Star. Joined now on the WIBC hotline by Josh Bain, member of the Indianapolis City County Council. Okay, Josh, essentially what this article says or alleges is that Thomas Carl Cook, the right-hand man for many, many years of Joe Hogsett, He was involved in a romantic relationship with a woman by the name of Scarlett Andrews. She led the city's Department of Metropolitan Development and then was the deputy mayor for economic development. A bunch of Cook's clients, when he went to a large law firm in the city of Indianapolis, ended up getting big incentives from the city. It looks really bad, but that's par for the course with the Hogshead administration these days. What say you?
Yeah, I think that's a great summary of it. I think the one thing that we all need to be aware of as well is the timeline of all this and what did the mayor know and when, because it seems that this was reported to city HR pretty early on. City HR recommended terminating Thomas Cook and then not allowing the deputy mayor, or I think she was department director at the time, to receive any promotions. Neither of those happened. In fact, they were both elevated either within the Hogshead circle or even within the city administration. So it seems that this is a clear and blatant abuse of public trust and the city's tax dollars.
$80 million was the number that was thrown out in this piece in terms of when Cook leaves, Thomas Carl Cook leaves Hogshead's administration, goes to this high-profile law firm, and then $80 million in terms of public incentives to his clients. That is a staggering amount of money that this lady, who he was clearly involved in a romantic relationship with, appeared to be in part approving or helping approve to his clients.
And if you look at the text messages that were shared in that Indy Star, Mirror Indy story that they worked together on, it seems that they almost orchestrated this relationship and that this was going to be their approach, that he was going to go off into the private sector, she was going to stay there, and they were just going to funnel projects through the city. They were not going to have to meet the same standards that every other project development meets. They were carved out of all different kinds of requirements. And then it goes a step further in the fact that the mayor was working with Thomas Cook at the time after he was already, quote unquote, let go of the city, which obviously he wasn't let go. But he was funneling political contributions to the mayor. Meanwhile, the mayor knows all of this is going on. He's known for years that all of this is going on. And he's just sitting there raking in all the cash based off of this devious relationship.
Josh Bain from the Indianapolis City County Council is our guest. Okay, so when do your Democrat colleagues do something about all of this? I mean, I feel like essentially nothing happened to Hogshead as a result of the investigation, the exposés that came out about him knowing about what Thomas Carl Cook was, his harassment, I guess would be the right word, of women that were his, subordinates when he was in the mayor's office. Seems like nothing happened there. When do your Democrat colleagues say, hey, man, enough is enough. Your administration's a dumpster fire. We got to do something?
Yeah, and I think this article even painted the city county council in a very accurate picture of just being a rubber stamp for the Hogshead administration. I mean, there's a reason why the city county council is like the laughing stock of local government throughout the state of Indiana. It's because they're just a rubber stamp. They hold all this authority, but they don't even, I don't know if they don't know that they have it or that they're just complacent or lazy or what. I don't really know what it is, but it showed that all of these deals, a lot of them go through the city county council, which I think if I were a Democrat on the city county council, obviously as a Republican, I'm upset about this, but if it's my own party doing this to me where they have all these relationships, there's this relationship between the developer and then a person within the upper echelon of the city administration, and they're getting all these deals, then they go and they present this to the city county council, and they're like, yeah, this is why it's going to be so good, so great. Clearly the Democrats didn't push back on it to find out any information, but the mayor knew about these relationships and did not disclose them to the city county council. So the council was blindly voting on all of these economic development deals without even knowing all the backstory and all of the secret relationships that's going on here. So if I were a Democrat, man, I would be so upset about this, but I don't even know if one of them has put anything out yet. And, this is their own party. You would think that they would step up to the plate and, try to at least defend themselves, defend like, well, I didn't know about this. That's very disappointing that I was never brought up to speed. you don't even see any of that, and so far, I think only 3 of the Democrats have called for him to resign, which is even more disappointing. Again, it's within their own party. You would think they would take accountability for their own party.
Josh Bain, Republican from the Indianapolis City County Council, is our guest. A couple of minutes left with him. We're talking about this big expose that came out yesterday, Indy Star, Mirror Indy, about for more information. It just seems like it's always just new stuff coming out about Joe Hogsett, Thomas Carl Cook, the former deputy mayor, I believe he was chief of staff, and this relationship that Thomas Carl Cook, once he left the Hogsett administration, had with a high-profile individual that remained in the mayor's office, and the millions and millions of dollars that went to Thomas Carl Cook's clients, economic development projects. Okay, so what was the lure of Hogsett to Thomas Carl Cook? Because this guy seems like the most uncompelling person imaginable, and yet there was what appears to be almost like an addiction Hogsett had to this guy, where no matter what shenanigans he was pulling, Hogsett kept saying, sign me up for more of that.
Yeah, I can't figure it out either, Rob. I mean, you look at it, it's not like, look at the demographics and the electoral history of the past 20 years, like 15, 20 years here in Indianapolis. It's not like you need this high-power political consultant to run a Democrat mayoral campaign in Indianapolis to be successful. Like the deck is stacked with you. Like everything is in your favor. So it's not like you need to, oh my goodness, he's so good. Like he truly understands, the Indianapolis electoral landscape. That's why we need someone like Tom. Like, no, like anybody could run for a Democrat mayor, and then, odds are you're going to win. And so that's what's really confusing about it. It's like, what did he have? What does he know? And, I think one thing I'm really looking forward to is the fact that this is only part 1 in the Indy Star Mirror Indy investigation. And, on the topic of just the electoral history, you see that a city county councilor named Monroe Gray is listed in that as being the only Democrat or councilor that ever pushed back on any of these economic development deals. Now, I don't know if he knew about this relationship or not, but if you go back to 2023, who was the number 1 target in the Democrat primary in all 25 city county council races? It was Monroe Gray. So it seems that this just continues the pattern that if you call out any improprieties, if you're part of any dissenting opinion, you will be targeted no matter what side of the aisle you're on by this administration.
Okay, we'll get you out of here with this, and it sort of come back to what we talked about earlier. It's a horrible look for the city. It's a horrible look for the Hogsett administration, but so were the numerous other reports. Do you think anything will come of this, or will once again this just be something that's in the news for a few days, and then your Democrat colleagues on the city county council go about business as usual?
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it doesn't just go away. I appreciate the voice that WIBC has been giving to this. You look at the traditional media here within Indianapolis, you can tell by the details in that article, that was not something they just threw together over the weekend. So clearly there's been a major investigation by the local media outlets in this. So thank God for Mirror Indy, for Indy Star, and these articles that are really looking into this and not turning a blind eye. And, I think the difficult thing that all of us on the council need to reckon with is, where do we go from here? How can you trust anything that comes from this administration? How can you trust any economic development deal that you're voting on? Do you have to sit there as you're hearing these development deals pitched and be like, hey, I just want to check, is anyone that's on the petitioner side, on the development side, like in a romantic relationship with anyone in the upper echelon of city government? Like, you shouldn't have to ask that. That's a weird place to be.
Yeah, but now you do, and we appreciate you, Josh Bain, Republican member of the Indianapolis City County Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
This comes at a time where people are very concerned, and rightfully so, about skyrocketing utility rates. And BlackRock is in the money-making business. They're not in the better life for you business. Somebody better do something fast. Or if you think utility rates are bad now, get ready, pal.
No problem. You know how good the legislature is about passing bills for the residents.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Pat Sullivan here, hoping not to spook you, but you could have a clogged drain and not even know it, which could result in a horror story. Have no fear. As part of their Halloween spooky deals, my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling are offering a $43 mainline snaking plus a free camera inspection. And the best part, if they don't get your drain flowing, it's free. Nothing scary about that deal. Call Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today to schedule an appointment.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Universal Windows Direct. What an incredible deal going on right now. And now is a great time to strike. If you're thinking about, man, another year in a cold and drafty home, winter's going to be here before you know it. And Universal Windows Direct is making it easy for you. Listen to this. First of all, buy 2 windows. You get 2 free. No limit. Then on top of that, 0% interest for 3 full years. And last but not least, $500 extra off your entire home improvement project. So again, let's review. Buy 2, get 2 free. No limit. 0% interest, 3 full years, and an extra $500 off your entire home improvement project. Now, some restrictions may apply. So to get all the details and schedule your totally free, no hassle, no obligation in-home estimate, call Universal Windows Direct today. 317-659-7574. 317-659-7574. Check them out on the web. UniversalWindowsDirect.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Transform your backyard this fall with Indie Decorative Concrete. Get a free outdoor furniture set with their best stamped concrete patio package. Hurry, offer ends November 1st. Visit IndieDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
Well, Kev coming in hot with a little Michael Stanley band.
Cleveland's very own.
Very well done. Casey would never tolerate this. This is why we're doing it. She'll be back tomorrow.
Bringing the 80s back to you on WIBC.
It is Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's in the afternoon today for Hammer and Nigel. So it's myself, Kev, Ethan Hatcher. And polling. More polling. This is fascinating how Indiana, I think it really centers around this redistricting push. It's becoming like the polling center of the universe. And so a group by the name of 3D Strategic Research. 3D Strategic Research. They have been used by, again, another primarily Republican-based pollster. Has polled on a lot of the same things that we talked about earlier with the Independent Indiana poll. They polled on redistricting. They polled on the governor. They polled on the Secretary of State. They polled on lieutenant governor. And just like the Independent Indiana poll, which also done by a Republican pollster, they have found, and Indy started a nice job of sort of breaking this down and simplifying it for people, what the Independent Indiana poll found, which is people don't want redistricting.
So, Rob, maybe, because you know these people better than almost anybody here, what do you do if you are an Indiana legislator who's supportive of redistricting when you're looking at these poll results? Because on the one hand, you know it's widely unpopular, even among your Republican constituents. But on the other hand, you're getting pressure from the Trump administration and might have a political price to pay when it comes to federal fundraising across the state. Because, Donald Trump can be pretty vindictive when it comes to not getting his way.
Good question. All right. So just to put this in perspective, 21%, according to this 3D poll, 21% agreed with the statement that Indiana should redistrict to, quote, counter the one-sided partisan maps the Democrats have drawn in states like Illinois, New York, and California. So this was sort of almost a push poll in the sense of how they were wording it, which was designed to get people to yes. So push polls are the questions are weighted in a way to try to get you to a response. And then sometimes if they don't get the response, then they'll follow up with a question to get you to the response, right?
Right.
So they wanted, that's a pretty inflammatory way to ask the question. If you just wanted the answer, it would be, do you support redistricting in the state of Indiana or something like that, yes or no?
They employed some rather tortured wording, if I recall.
And they could only get to 21%. 69% of voters agreed with the statement, quote, there's no need to spend time or money on mid-decade redistricting. Okay, so overwhelmingly, just like even more so than the Independent Indiana poll, this is like the fourth or fifth poll now we've seen, which shows the same thing, which is people in the state don't want it. So to answer your question, first of all, I'm obviously against redistricting because I don't believe you should just give Republican seats because that's why they govern so poorly. They just take it. There's no incentive for them to actually govern effectively. But if I weren't that sort of person, I would weigh, would I be punished for it? Like, okay, people feel this way, but will they come out and vote against me? Are they passionate enough that this will drive them next year to the polls? Now, the bigger issue is the big enchilada is the Secretary of State's office is probably in some real jeopardy with Bo Bai running. Now, I still think it's a red state. Republicans have the advantage. By the way, speaking of Bo Bai, he'll be with us on Friday. Don't miss that interview. That is going to be sort of a make or break interview, or very well could be for him, because he's got to win our audience and the WIBC audience portion of it if he's going to win the race. But and this is why I think like Rod Bray and Todd Houston don't want any part of this, because clearly there's no support for it. And the only option is we could get punished for it. Now, I'm not saying you will get punished for it, but clearly the polling, and it's getting enough coverage that people are aware of it, that you potentially jeopardize these down ballot races next year, and they have no incentive to jeopardize down ballot races, which is what they actually care about.
What do you make of the Secretary of State's race? Is Bo Bai only in the game if Diego Morales secures the nomination once again? If he's defeated in convention by David Shelton, then does Bo Bai stand a chance, or is he going to be overwhelmed by the straight ticket Republican voters that are all too happy to propel any R next to their name politician into elected office?
Let me come back to that in just a second. That's a great question, but I did want to give some of these results from this 3D strategic research poll. Braun is viewed favorably by just 32%. 46% view him unfavorably, which I believe matches directly or pretty close to directly the Independent Indiana poll. Now, that's a higher favorability, but the unfavorable is about the same. Trump, by comparison, which I think is always a good barometer, 47% favorably, 49% unfavorably. I think that's probably in the ballpark. Yeah, and by the way, the Independent Indiana poll, Braun was 24% favorably, 43% unfavorably. Then they asked about Morales, Diego Morales, Secretary of State. 9% viewed him favorably, 21% unfavorably. It almost matches identical to the Lieutenant Governor, Micah Beck, with 9% view him favorably, 22% unfavorably. So nobody knows who they are, but the people who do don't like them. So back to your question, which is, if it is not Diego Morales, I think it's a much tougher lift for Bo Bai, because then he would have to win on the merit versus running against someone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I think right now a big part of the strategy, especially if he's politically savvy at all, would be running against the widespread corruption of the Morales administration.
Well, and he's a smart guy, and he's touched on it a little bit in some of these interviews he's done, which is he's going to have to convince people two things. One, and this is where the machine comes in. And by the way, the donations are rolling in for him now. I think he's raised like $400,000 in a couple of days. He's getting the big donors, presumably off his father's, machine, which we thought he would.
Yeah, he just got $300,000 from some guy out in Connecticut.
We need more rich friends, Ethan. We need more rich friends. But I think he's going to have to convince people of two things. Number one, that Diego Morales is so egregious. And that's why I've said, look, Diego may not want to say who paid for India. I bet the buys will figure out who paid for India, and it's not good. That's why he doesn't want to tell you who paid for that trip to India, because it's not good. They'll also figure out probably whether he paid the money back or not. Want to bet whether he did? They'll figure that out. And so you've got to convince people, hey, look, this is a red state and you're Republicans, but sort of the way they did in short time, Joe Donnelly flipped on Richard Murdoch, flipped the screws on Richard Murdoch in 2012. Hey, this guy's comments were so egregious. I get you're Republicans. You can't vote for this in good conscience. He's going to have to do that. And he's also going to have to convince people, I am not a radical. I will work with the Republicans. I will, and he's already said, hey, voter ID, not going to be discussed. We're not going to talk about it. He's going to have to do more of that and talk to his own party and go, y'all got to just bite your tongues here, because this is how we're going to have to win this thing. It's a real balancing act. But to answer your question, I think he has almost no shot if it's not Diego, because it takes away one of the things he's going to have to run on. And Dave Shelton is milquetoast, and he's boring, and he's good at his job, and it'll just be a sort of an R sweep with. But if you're Daniel Elliott, the state treasurer, and Elise Nishala, the comptroller, you've got to be very worried about running with Diego, because just like when Murdoch imploded, Mike Pence almost went down in that election. If an election got on another week, he'd have lost. You got to be worried, is this guy potentially going to sink the free sailing ship for us too?
Well, I think that's a little bit less of a possibility, because part of the polling we just talked about said that 50% of the state doesn't even know who Diego Morales is. So,
but they will once several $1 million are run against him about hiring the brother-in-law and the car and the no bid contracts and whoever paid for these foreign trips and all. Like, it's laughable to me that the Republicans keep putting their head in the sand on Diego and acting like the buy machine isn't going to, in full force, just run one negative ad after another with this guy, and the scandals that the Republicans don't want to act like they exist, that they're not going to be front and center.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we also have a state where Republicans have very safe districts because of the enormous weight that straight ticket voting favors for them.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. That's two polls basically showing the same thing. Nobody wants redistricting, and nobody likes Braun. This was a good show today. It was a very positive show. All right. More on the way next. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on OpenSignal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
So, where's the lake?
Not here.
But it says Great Lakes Honda of Fishers.
Right. I just don't see a lake.
Well, who needs a lake when you can lease a 2026 HR-V LX all-wheel drive for $309 a month and 0 down?
That definitely won't soak our bank account.
Oh, it's the old Honda of Fishers.
Great Lakes, great people, great cars.
But no actual lake. Visit our showroom off State Road 37 today. Tax and title fees not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. 10,000 miles a year. Not combinable with other offers. Loyalty or conquest rebates may apply. Offer ends October 31st. See dealer for details.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
He says they're waiting on the Senate. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Indiana Representative Marlon Stutzman says there's an offer that senators need to take up to open the government back up.
My hope is that the pressure continues to build on Democrats to accept the deal that we've already voted on before, that they voted for earlier this spring. So this is not something new for them. They've agreed to it before. They should agree to it again now.
The federal government has been closed since October 1st. Indianapolis police say they've arrested a man connected to last week's East Side triple shooting. 46-year-old Terry Rowe Jr. is facing multiple felony charges for the shooting that broke out at a CVS store. A person is killed after being hit by a school bus in Tippecanoe County Monday afternoon. State police are now investigating. And the Fayette County Coroner's Office says that a portion of a human skull was found on the bank of the Whitewater River this week and is over 4,200 years old. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel here for Window Nation. October is here, and you know what it means. The return of all things pumpkin-flavored, earlier sunsets, and chilly air seeping into your home. That is, if you've got those old, stuck, cracked windows. Ready to eliminate annoying drafts once and for all? Reach out to the experts at Window Nation. This month, when you buy 2 windows, you'll get 2 more for free, and your total price includes 1-day installation. With Window Nation, you also won't have to make any payments for 2 years, which is a big deal with the holiday season coming up. Check it out at windownation.com.
Window Nation has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and that gives you the peace of mind when you're deciding on whether or not you're working with the right company. Put an end to your window problems with Window Nation. Now through October 31st, buy 2 windows, get 2 for free, and you don't pay anything for 2 years with Window Nation. Visit windownation.com today. That's windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Enough is enough. Governor Braun said he would listen to Hoosiers and stand up to Washington's plans to rig our maps. But now those Washington insiders are coming to Indiana to finish the job. Unless we can stop them, we want our votes to count, our voices to be heard, and for lawmakers and Governor Braun to focus on issues that matter to us. Utility bills, inflation, taxes. Keep standing strong against redistricting at playfairindiana.com. Paid for by Indiana Conservation Voters.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. We did choose Galaxy, and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Ethan, question. This is where you say yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
Ask your question, Rob.
Casey, I just want to make
Don't
sure you're
leave
ready.
me hanging.
I'm Rob. Ethan is emphatically in for Casey today, who's doing the afternoon show. Kev is here. You own many houses, correct?
Yes. Well, several. I wouldn't say many. I own more than the average person, but less than the average tycoon.
Now, that's a little misleading because you're not like living in all these houses.
Correct. They are rental properties.
Yeah. That's what you do for a day job. Now, would you ever let someone you didn't know house sit for you?
No, I have far too much cool stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, your house is a
museum.
I hope you don't mind me saying that. Like, it's very nice. Yes, you have it is like a trip through time going to your house and touring your house. Now, I ask this because apparently there are services out there in which you hire someone and they will come, like it's an online service, and they send someone to your house to house sit for you. Were you aware of this?
I was not aware of this because I am not financially affluent enough to require these services. However, that being said, Rob, if I did have a home like in Martha's Vineyard or something, in some sort of fantastical scenario where I've won the lottery, yeah, if you got a second home, you probably want somebody looking after that, taking care of it. And if you got the money not to worry about such things, then a house sitting service sounds logical.
Yeah, so I guess these are online app service, whatever, and this company is supposed to do the background checks on the people, verify who they are, and so whoever they're sending to your house, doesn't have any criminal background. I mean, obviously it doesn't ensure that nothing bad is going to happen, but they've got a history of doing house sitting. I gather they check references, whatever. So it gives you some level of peace of mind, as much as you could have, I suppose, that whoever's in your house is a reputable person that doesn't have a photo up in the post office.
Well, it kind of sounds similar to what they do for house cleaning services, and I would entertain maybe getting a house cleaning service where they do a background check and then have people come into your home. So I guess, is it fundamentally different between having someone come in to do some house cleaning while you're there versus a house sitter while you're not?
Well, this went horribly awry for one couple. Okay. There's a group in California. This company was called Trusted House Sitters. Daily Mail had a big expose on this. And it appears what these people were able to do is they were able to steal the identity of people. So they got hired by this online service under phony identities. And then they started allegedly breaking into houses, taking items, including $100,000 from one $1.1 million home.
$100,000 is going to hurt. Wow. Okay, so yeah, maybe house sitting service is not that ideal.
And they were apparently very good, the people who were fleeced, because they said there were things that you would have had to look very hard to find that were hidden, and they were able to track those things down. But
we got technology these days, Rob. They can use like radar, metal detectors, whatever
it was they were doing it. But it comes back to, I would not let someone I don't know hang out in my home.
Yeah.
Of course, I never leave my home, so it's not a problem for me. But I would not, I obviously know all my neighbors. They could look after my home for me. I also don't have anything in my home worth taking. But that would seem like a real risk. I would also not let somebody come in and clean my home. But you would be okay with letting somebody come in and clean your home.
While I was there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you would not just let a stranger into your house.
No.
Yeah, okay, very good. All right, so be on the lookout. That I believe the culprits were apprehended, though, these specific people who did this.
Were they working with some of these like Chilean gangs or Trende Aragua? Well, I mean, you laugh, but we've heard about these gangs, especially in the more affluent parts of California, where they're breaking into these multi-million-dollar homes and just taking the stuff. So is this extension of that?
It doesn't say that, and they weren't really breaking in. They were waltzing right in.
Right, they were invited under false pretenses.
Name. Yes. $200,000 in total theft was the alleged haul for these this man and woman.
How much did you say?
$200,000.
Oh, well, that's less than those folks that took from the Target. Wasn't it like half $500,000 over the course of a year and a half they just got arrested for?
Isn't that sad that we've reached a point in our society where you're like, it's $200,000, and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at in society. We've reached a point, Ethan, where we now hear the phrase $200,000. I mean, like 5 years ago, I'd been like, that's a huge amount of money. And now you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like that much money.
Well, $200,000 couldn't buy you a home in some places.
Well, it's certainly not in California, most places.
Right.
I mean, I was chuckling because I saw a $1.1 million home, and I thought, oh, that's a big home. And then you thought, well, California, that's probably not all that big of a home.
Yeah, I saw a postage stamp house in California that they were recently selling for $600,000 in an area that looked not dissimilar to the east side of Indianapolis.
Well, your buddy Carl, producer Carl for Tony Katz, I know he's regularly on the Saturday Night on the Circle program.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in California, and he'll tell you how little house you can get and the sort of neighborhood he lived in and what it cost and the sort of quality housing that he was provided for that. So, yeah, I think affordability a little bit better here in central Indiana. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. I'm doing this today because Casey would never let me do this if she were here, so I'm taking full advantage of running the template. There was a guy who in the 1980s went from totally obscure actor to commercial phenomenon to star of the big screen. And he blew up and then kind of disappeared almost as fast as he came about, and then tragically passed away very young. So not a lot was known about this guy. And that's why one of his family members wrote a book about him and his life. How about that for a tease? We'll tell you all about it when we come back with a big interview. It's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
It's Casey filling in for the Hammer and Nigel show, and Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson placed on injured reserve. We'll have that and the recap of Monday Night Football on 93 WIBC.
Picture this. Your career ends, your paycheck stops, Suddenly you're conducting your retirement with no sheet music. Don't let that happen. I'm Jason Hutchins, and after years of guiding Hoosier families through retirement planning, I put together some of the most important lessons into one simple, easy-to-read book, Orchestrate Your Retirement, a guide to composing a financially tuned plan. Get a copy mailed to you at no cost. Call 317-660-0929. That's 317-660-0929. This book is packed with real-world stories and strategies on income, Social Security, taxes, and how to protect what you've worked so hard to build. Call Guardian Wells Financial at 317-660-0929. That's 660-0929 and ask for your copy. No pressure, no strings attached. Supplies are limited, so when they're gone, they're gone. Orchestrate your retirement. The rhythm of your future starts here.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. Guardian Wells Financial is not affiliated with Creative One Wealth or with any government agency. Licensed insurance professionals.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on 2025 Lincoln Corsair, Nautilus, or Aviator. Plus get a $1,000 Tom Roush Trade Assist bonus. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Subject to credit approval. Not all buyers will qualify. See dealer for complete offer details. Offer ends 10/31/2025.
Why do so many basement companies want half the money up front? Could it be because it's easier to get than earning all your trust? At the Michaelis Corporation, they don't ask for a deposit until the job is done and you're completely satisfied. They even start with a free inspection to ensure you know exactly what your home needs without the guesswork. With over 35 years experience, they've proven that trust is built on results, not deposits. Michaelis, building trust beneath your feet. Visit michaeliscorp.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Is your home stressing you out? Why not sell it to us? We will buy any property in any condition.
We receive a tremendous amount of phone calls on that property. A lot of them are very aggravating. You're not going to buy it over the phone, so let's don't kick tires. Come and look, say yay or nay, and then we can both go on down the street. And so James did come, looked it over, we talked, chatted. James, he did a good job. Did what he said he was going to do.
Call Simple Quarters 317-900-HOME.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do your goals. At Busey Bank, we're here to help you move forward with the financial tools, local support, and expert guidance you need to take your next step. Whether you're growing a business, leaving a legacy, or saving for the future, you'll have a team that's ready when you are. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Want in on special WIBC contests?
That is correct.
Join the text club. Text WIBC to 317-239-9393. Exclusive giveaways are just a text away.
I had a friend was a big baseball player back in high school. He could throw.
So he
somehow went from obscurity to being one of the biggest stars of the 1980s and into the 90s. And thankfully, one of his family members has told his story. It's a Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher's here. Joining us now on the WIBC hotline is Justin Lloyd. He is the author of the book, now available in audiobook, The Importance of Being Earnest, The Life of Actor Jim Varney. Of course, Jim Varney, best known for playing Ernest P. Worrell on the big screen, went from sort of an obscure character actor in commercials to a megastar at the box office. Justin, you were his nephew. You were on the scene with him for many of his movies and acting endeavors. Tell us about this guy who people loved, but not too many people knew all that much about.
Good morning. It was great. It was quite surreal at times, to see him coming on our TV. This is back in the early 80s when you couldn't just get everything on demand, right? And so we would be watching a program, and then up pops a convenient food mart commercial, and hey, there's Jim, and everybody would rush into the room and try to see him real quick, and the commercial's almost halfway over by the time we got everybody in the room. But it was exciting to those kinds of things, and then to see him show up on the big screen and all that, it was quite exciting, to say the least.
Okay, so do you remember, because obviously a lot of people don't know, that he was an advertising star. The Ernest character, played by Jim Varney, was an advertising star, and then I think Ernest Goes to Camp was the first movie, and these movies just explode. There's like a 5-year window where kids love these movies, even adults love these movies. He's doing Christmas movies. Do you remember when you found out, hey, he's going to the big screen?
Yeah, a little bit. When he would come and visit, he would talk about his latest things that were going on. And, we were quite excited to hear, when a movie was being made about Ernest. We had been fans of the commercials, like you said, for many years. I mean, he was, you could argue, as much a commercial phenomenon as he ever was a movie star. A lot of people don't realize that, just what an advertising phenomenon he was in the early to mid 80s there.
All right, so Justin Lloyd is our guest. He's the author of the book, The Importance of Being Earnest, The Life of Actor Jim Varney. It's now out on audiobook. We'll get to that in just a second. But Ernest is fascinating to me. I, as a child of the 80s and 90s, I grew up loving the Ernest movies. But, there were certain guys, like Jim Varney was one as Ernest, Paul Rubens as Pee Wee Herman, where you almost didn't know that they weren't actually that. Like, it was shocking to me. I remember the first time I ever saw Jim Varney in something not Ernest, and it was like, oh, my gosh, he's not actually Ernest.
Yes. I mean, it's when I think it's great when somebody is so convincing as that character. Like you said, Paul Rubens was with Mork. Paul Rubens was with
Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman, I'm sorry. And I was also thinking Robin Williams with Mort at one time, right? All of a sudden, you can't envision them as anybody else because they were so convincing that they've almost just become a real person. Like you just thinking, Ernest just seems like that's almost like a real person, right? And it's like, no, it's actually just a character. So I get that, yes.
So tell us about the Jim Varney, the person, and his reaction to these movies going to the big screen. How did he handle himself? And did his life change at all, at least from a family perspective? You were his nephew once he starts, hitting it big with these movies.
I think he really was pretty much the same person he had always been. Pretty much stayed true to himself. He lived just north of Nashville in a small town called White House, Tennessee, just north of Nashville, and remained in the same house that he had bought in the early 80s when he first was making money as Ernest, lived there his whole life. So he was still very much grounded. And I think probably to some extent, I would say maybe he almost maybe expected at some point that he would find fame doing something. I don't know how much of I don't know how excited it made him perhaps in the scheme of things, but I mean I think it's always something he maybe kind of expected his whole life. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen.
So, he's big in the 80s, the Jim Varney, the Ernest movies. They go into the 90s. They're still popular. By the mid-90s, the thing had kind of run its course. I think they went to end up they weren't in theaters. They were like direct-to-video movies. What was his reaction to that? You have this meteoric rise. You're kind of known for this one thing. This thing has run its course. How did he handle that, and how did he pivot out of kind of the Ernest character?
Well, I mean, he was always wanting a dramatic role. He was always, for a long time, kind of trying to do other things. In the early 90s, you had the Beverly Hillbillies movie where he was Jed Clampett. And that's when the Ernest movies, with Disney was starting to kind of run its course. And, of course, he then was getting into the animation with the Toy Story movie, which I don't think he had any idea just, the impact that was going to have. And so he was already kind of pivoting into the voice work, doing some other characters. He did like a cameo kind of character on The Simpsons, playing this Carney character. And so he was really kind of pivoting into voice work there from Toy Story onward. And he was also good friends with Billy Bob Thornton. And he was telling us about the movie Sling Blade before it ever came out. And, wasn't in Sling Blade, but then ended up in a Billy Bob Thornton movie later on toward the very end of his life called Daddy and Them. So, yeah, he had a lot of other things going on that he had been working on throughout the 90s, for sure.
Justin Lloyd is our guest. Couple minutes left with him. He's got a new audio book out. The book has been out in paperback for years. The book is called The Importance of Being Earnest, The Life of Actor Jim Varney. Okay, and we'll get to the book here in just a second, but later in his life, like I'm 40 years old now, and I saw you were doing interviews. This thing is out in audiobook. I thought, what a cool thing, because I loved Ernest. And like, did he have an appreciation for how much that character was loved? And do you think he would have, I mean, he's been gone a long time now, but he would have understood the staying power that character was going to have, that grown people like me still think of it in such high regard?
Yes, I do. I think so at the time. And it is so bittersweet, because he isn't around now to hear people talk about when they were younger and what it meant to them, right? I think at the time, though, he understood that. He had his own heroes growing up. He watched on TV from Hopalong Cassidy and on all that on TV. So he understood what these characters could mean to kids, as I did. I mean, I grew up with Superman and Star Wars. And so I understood that completely as I wrote the book, and wanting to write something really for the Ernest fans that would give them something comprehensive about Jim that really wasn't out there anywhere.
Yeah, so let's get you out here with this. Tell us about the book, The Importance of Being Earnest, The Life of Actor Jim Varney, which is now available in audiobook as well.
Well, it started about 8 years after Jim had passed in 2008. I realized, goodness, there's nothing about Jim, and something needs to be written, and well, maybe I'm the person to do it. And it took me almost 6 years writing and researching. And the paperback came out in 2013. And then recently I was thinking, I should probably do an audiobook, and to really give the listeners, the fans, an even more kind of intimate and immersive experience, hopefully, with that. And hopefully that's what I've done, and was even able to add some bonus footage as well. A speech from John Cherry, the director, the longtime director and creator of Ernest, at Jim's memorial, and some other things. So really wanted to make it a real treat for Jim Varney and Ernest fans everywhere.
Where can people get the audiobook?
Really just about anywhere. Of course, Audible, Apple Books, just about anywhere, and also in the libraries. It's all over the libraries, networks, and stuff. So yeah, really excited to have this for all the fans to enjoy.
Yeah, what a cool thing. I'm so glad you did it. An incredible character of the 1980s and 90s, and really before you did this book, not a lot was known about the guy outside of what he did with the movies. The Importance of Being Earnest, The Life of Actor Jim Varney. Justin Lloyd, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much, Ethan, for filling in for Casey, doing an outstanding job. Kevin, great job as always. And most importantly, thank you to you, the listener. Without you, there is no us. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
If you